Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. North American stock futures back to the downside this morning as markets are digesting the latest non-farm payrolls number out in the U.S. this morning. 701,000 jobs, a decline of 701,000 jobs versus an expectation of 100,000 jobs lost last month. The data obviously comes after yesterday. We had the weekly jobless claims number that came out much larger than expected as well. 6.5+ million weekly jobless claims number yesterday also added a bit of negativity, although we did see markets rebound throughout the session. We have oil prices higher once again to start the session. Crude up more than 11.5% at this point in the pre-market. When I sat down this morning, it was about only 4%. That's in addition to a 25% run up we saw in crude prices yesterday, the largest single day increase ever for crude oil prices. Tesla shares are also to the upside this morning after the company reported larger than expected increase, or record increase in quarterly deliveries in the first quarter. It's Friday, April 3rd. TraderTV.live starts now. And there we go. Look at North American markets heading towards the open here. About, just under half an hour to go before we get North American markets off and running. S&P 500 there to the downside. You can see still negative territory, about 0.45%. The Dow down as well, 0.44%. NASDAQ down about 0.5%. Brazil open already in negative territory. We have Bitcoin higher today. Yeah, there's crude 11.5% to the upside today. Gold also slightly higher on the day. Worth noting, Asian markets overnight were a little bit mixed. We have Europe also trading mostly flat to start the session as well. A little bit to the downside, but obviously all focus is going to be on the jobs reports this morning. Again, 701,000 jobs to the downside in the U.S. last month versus an expectation of 100,000 decline. It is Friday. We have a great show lined up today. Lots to get to this morning. Obviously, the guys here with me as well. Neil is back. Neil has a haircut. Guys, how are we on this Friday morning?
We're good. Daddy daycare was one day and it made me pull my hair out, so I got to get back in here, trade these markets. It should be a wild one, should be a fun one. I can't believe what I missed on Luckin yesterday, but today should be just as good. And as you can see here, I already have the numbers up. We'll see if we can't throw to these. Chicago CME top market by an individual trader here, making $50,000 on probably the futures there. Looking at Canada, coming in at number 2, 30,000 someone pulled out of that market. Germany, 29,000. New York, 28,000. London, 23. NASDAQ, 20. You can see Amex and NYMEX. No surprise there that you might have seen some crude oil getting someone into the 5-figure mark. And once again, as you mentioned, Brendan, crude oil up again. I think there's going to be a lot of names to play. You talk about Tesla, you talk about energy. I mean, you name it, airlines, cruise lines. This is going to be a wild Friday.
And then we had Tesla, a lot of the big favorites of you guys watching here. You like us to look at Tesla. And up 14% here today. 88,000 cars delivered, a much better than expected number. So we'll be trading that today as well. We have 3 big guests lined up, so we're really happy with that. Flemington coming through with Sean Sherzadi here, Food Bank, so that should be an interesting look as well for us. A great friend of the show. We're really happy to do some donations there as well. But Brendan, let's throw it back over to you and start going on some of these names.
Yeah, we'll jump into the first guest right off the bat here. We're going to bring in our good friend Kirill Furshine from BCS America and talk a little bit about the Russian markets. It's been obviously an interesting week. And volatility back in the markets, obviously continuing to move around all over the place. We're seeing again a little bit of a move back to the upside, even with this jobs report this morning. We'll bring in Kirill when we have him, guys, and we'll talk about the MOEX market. Europe, again, as I mentioned, a little bit mixed to start. Didn't get a chance to check out the Russian markets, but most of Europe trending back to the downside today. It has been a little bit of a mixed session overall. We do have crude oil moving back to the upside today, as we mentioned as well, in a big way. There's Kirill to start off a Friday. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing well. Hope you are all well as also.
Yeah, it's obviously a trying time. Kirill joining us remotely once again, working from home, maintaining his social distancing as we all are. So great to see you, Kirill. Hope you and yours are all doing well.
Yes, thanks. I'm here in the bunker in Connecticut, in the woods here, staying safe and healthy and doing my best to keep up with markets at the meantime.
Yeah, let's jump into those markets right off the bat here. Obviously, lots to get to today. I think a lot of people are kind of sitting around waiting for this jobs report to come out. Comes out much bigger than expected. I mean, we saw the weekly U.S. jobless claims number yesterday come out also much bigger than expected. And the market ends up higher on the day. So we'll see what happens. How are things looking as far as the Russian market is concerned today?
Well, Russia is very interesting. Actually, today it's up. The last I looked, it was up 1.5%. And that's different than what's going on in other European and other emerging markets right now. I really think it has a lot to do with this OPEC plus about face that we're seeing with potential production cuts and the news that came out from President Trump when he kind of released it early. This is really helping the Russian market. The index is positive because majority of the energy names are trading higher. So a lot of the names that we've talked about in the past, Lukoil, Rosneft, it's all doing better today, and that's what's keeping the market higher. So something kind of different than what's going on with a lot of the other global markets. Yeah,
biggest single day increase yesterday ever for crude oil after that tweet, obviously. What was the response? What was the reaction like as far as the Russian market is concerned? When we got that news out yesterday, we saw obviously a huge run up in crude prices.
It also jumped, and I think a lot of the investors who were looking at timing of the bottom for Russia were specifically looking at oil as one of the most important parts to make this larger index play better. So we saw a lot of institutional investors who we hadn't seen, who are sort of bottom fishing here and there, coming back into the markets. More of the faster money, of course, on this one, but in general, I think you had short covering. You had some speculation, and the energy names, of course, did the best. Longer term, we should look at other names in Russia as well because of the way the tax system works with oil. The oil prices are not actually as relevant for some of these companies as you would think. But a name like Sberbank, the largest Russian bank, is a way to play the oil price, or of course RSX, the Russian ETF.
Yeah, I want to get you over to the guys here to talk about some individual opportunities possibly as we head towards the latter part of the day over in Russia. But on a whole, Kirill, we had a little bit of a bounce as far as global markets are concerned over the end of last week and then beginning of this week. Where are we as a whole as far as the Russian market is concerned? Are we getting back into kind of some resistance areas, or do you see it maybe still with a bit of support?
Yes, it's really hard to say. A lot of it depends on the larger economic forecasts and larger global markets, but we are seeing some support where we are. And I think that, again, continued trading of what type of recovery are we going to have. And the discussions now, instead of the V, they're talking about a U or an L. And those are sort of the questions now to try to understand from a larger macro perspective.
And so much uncertainty, obviously, in a news-driven market like this. It'll be interesting to see how things continue to play out. Great stuff, Kirill. Don't want to keep you too long here. We'll bring in Neil and Sean and talk about some of those individual symbols.
Thank you.
Good morning, Kirill. Happy Friday. Good to have you on, as always. I know Brendan said to talk about some individual symbols, but my main focus is going to be, sort of what's going on with oil in a broad sense. Actually, as I look at it right now, we're coming back off here about $1.50 from the top, approaching 27 or so. When it comes to the upside, we've had a couple of nice days in a row. Is there any particular price target that we'd look for on WTI? I'm talking about specifically because that's what we watch, that you could foresee being the next hump up. I know a lot of firms have that $30 to $34 a barrel range, which is health for them. Do you see us getting there potentially? Is there some resistance or anything along those lines?
I have to look at what our most recent economic forecasts are from the oil perspective. I'm sure we have them from BCS, but the larger traders who I work with on the commodity side both from a client perspective and other firms that I look at, are really targeting that sort of level. The question, of course, is the timing, and that $30, $35 level. Are we weeks away? What kind of real indicators can we get? And right now, I think people really don't know. A lot of the speculation about this 10 million barrel potential cutting, a lot are saying that it would not be enough. And the real question now is the storage capacity. That's what everyone's talking about from the institutional side, to understand this looming shortage capacity issue. And that's something I think we have to watch as far as the price goes going forward.
Absolutely. Great look there. When it comes to individual names, is there anything in particular, or just give us the best one that stands out to maybe play in the energy sector? If it's going to be over there in Russia, I mean, you've given us some fantastic calls before. I'm sure the viewers would like to hear another one.
Well, I have to say, I think at this point, RSX, the Russian ETF, overall, easiest, most liquid way for your clients and your traders to be able to play Russia overall, which is so geared towards the commodity markets and geared towards oil. Of course, there's specific names such as Lukoil that we've talked about in the past, and Rosneft. I think also Sberbank, the Russian bank. Really, you're buying a piece of Russian GDP when you buy Sberbank, and similar to RSX, you're getting exposure to the overall oil price that way, and that's probably a cleaner way versus buying some of the oil companies. At the same time, some of these companies are just trading at really amazing valuations right now. We do have institutional clients that are adding positions to these names, including Lukoil and Rosneft. So I'd be watching both of those very closely, as I'm sure the other larger global energy names that your traders are tracking.
Great. Yeah, Kirill, I actually have RSX here, and how's it going? And thanks again for tuning in with us today. And yeah, we're practicing that whole social distancing thing here. Me and Neil are not elbow lengths away today, but here's RSX. I think this 19, I mean, there's a huge gap here. We all know what happened in early March, but RSX gaps from 21 basically in one day all the way down to $17. Now we're making that move right back here. Breaking through 19 would be pretty sweet. And I'm guessing the big move here is going to have to come. We just talked about it. Oil up again. Well, it was up 11%. Now we're only up 7% today. But what do you think? And we've talked about this in the past. Does the U.S. political landscape, you think, have anything to maybe do with Russia if the Democrats come into play here at all? I mean, it looks like Republicans, I don't know, I was actually checking the Vegas odds, and it was about 50-50 between Republicans and Democrats, whether it's going to be Trump or Biden. I guess it's going to be Biden, not Sanders. But do you think that would affect, and maybe if it has in the past, depending on what side of the bench takes control here, if it's Republican or Democratic, does one favor the Russian economy a little bit more?
You know, it's a hard question. The market perception, of course, today is that the Democrat win would potentially be more negative for Russia from just a geopolitical perspective. When you start to dig in and you look at the facts on the ground of whether whichever party or whichever president would win, I'm not sure there'd actually be a big difference in terms of geopolitically the relationship, but it more from just a perception factor. A Trump win would be considered positive, and a Democrat win would be considered negative for the Russian market. And it goes into factors such as sanctions and other issues, and sort of how the stance would be in terms of negotiating and working together. I mean, right now, there's definitely some cooperation going on to try to get through these kind of issues, such as cuts with OPEC Plus. And for President Trump to be able to speak to President Putin and have a good relationship can help that negotiation. So we'll see the fruits of that and how that will work going forward. But I think there would be definitely a negative perception if politically anything changed here.
Right. Okay, great. Yeah, we're stuck here with our sort of Western media and, the Putin-Trump. We never know if it's going to be a good relationship or not, but thanks for clarifying some of that. And yeah, look, it's going to be an exciting Friday here, especially with all the moves happening now. Kirill, obviously a friend of the family here at Trader TV Live. Thank you so much for attending today, and have a fantastic weekend, and we look to hear back from you soon.
Thanks, Kirill.
Thanks, guys. Keep safe, keep healthy.
We will. You too. Thank you. Carol Furshine from BCS America, everybody. Let's throw it back to Brendan and let's get over some names now, guys.
Let's jump right into things here, guys. Let's start with Tesla, obviously the big mover after market yesterday and in the pre-market. Everybody wants to know what is going on and what we're going to do with Tesla this morning. Up 14% still. It has come off the highs a little bit here. They reported 40% jump in quarterly deliveries, record number, over 88,000 deliveries for the first quarter of the year. Looks like we are coming back into this 515 area, guys, which was a bit of resistance on the way up last night. What do we think of Tesla here?
Yeah, you sort of hit the nail on the head there. That 515 is right bouncing off of this now. I think if we're going to sell off, and it doesn't necessarily seem like we're selling off on that number in the overall market, I would have liked that 515 on a retrace. I mean, the last time we had a big jobs number, they actually bounced the market to the upside and bought it. Right now we're teetering on 2,500. So we got to watch what that happens there. I do like the potential for this little pullback. Now, obviously, it's a good number, but you can see to come from 445 all the way up to a 530 area, and 540 was a key level before. We tested there, not too far away from it in the pre-market, and bounced to the downside. It wouldn't surprise me to see a bit of a sell-off there. I'd be a little bit wary, however, if we do bounce hard off 2,500. At that point, you're probably looking to run something into that 540 mark as opposed to sell the 515 break.
Yeah, exactly, and great look there in the pre-market, and well, I guess it was the aftermarket yesterday on some of these levels right now, guys. 505, 510. You know, look, it's a big run, no matter what you talk about. We're coming up from 450 yesterday, so I'm wondering if people wake up and they see kind of this profit heading into a market that's only up 0.41. That's probably what some of this was up here, was profit taking. Just an unbelievable open today, coming in and seeing 530. Does it get back there? I think it could if the market rallies. So I'm just kind of looking at maybe a 520 break here, or obviously defending the bottom of 515, but looks like that's going to break right now. The thing is, there's still 13 and change minutes to go before we open. So Tesla could really be anywhere by the time we open up. I mean, we've just dropped $15 in about 20 minutes. So we'll see where this does open up, but I like it long through 520. I love it long through the high of the day, but I also don't mind it short if this keeps going and you play a little bit of momentum. I mean, look, Tesla's a hot stock. It did touch down in the 300s during all that chaos. So let's just look at Tesla today. There's going to be better names, but I think this is a good one. Already 1 million shares is great for this $500 name. All
right, guys, Luckin Coffee, a big mover in the pre-market yesterday. 84% drop before the market even opened on those claims that the COO had been walked out on misconduct allegations. An independent review panel finding financial misconduct a case with COO of Luckin Coffee. So we're higher again this morning, guys, but obviously nowhere near what we did yesterday, kind of back above the 650 area, I guess, which was a bit of a pivot in the afternoon yesterday.
I mean, everybody watching, sorry, Neil, I know Neil missed this yesterday, but it was chaos in the morning, and today it's kind of a little more calmed down. You don't get too crazy levels here, but we are, the level that I was talking about is about to be breaking here. I was going to talk about 7. That's going to come into play here as well. I would just say you just kind of look at some levels. I pulled it back. This is yesterday's chart, obviously. We're not going to get up to $10, well, we could, but we did bounce off here a couple times. You just draw a line right through. This is $7, right? And so we're looking at $7 here. Topped out there, never really got there, and now we're breaking through. So I like 7 long, Neil. Not sure what you're thinking, but I'm assuming it's something similar.
Yeah, we were just, Greg was mentioning here in the chat, and I was kind of saying the same thing. I hate these things when they break with this much time left in the pre-market, but like I said, I'm going to give it a shot one time here. You did have a previous top in the pre-market at 680, 683. I don't know if you want to give it to that. You mentioned the pivot point there, Brandon. That's a very, very good look. If you do look at yesterday's session, that 650 was an obvious mark. So if the long fails on a breakthrough 7, let's have a quick look at that 650 area.
All right, guys, let's go to virus land here, or coronavirus-related names today. eCore, what is it? ElectroCore is moving back to the downside here in a big way. 78% still in positive territory. Aftermarket yesterday, they got emergency approval for a treatment that they developed to treat respiratory symptoms of COVID-19. So not COVID-19 itself, but symptoms of the infection. So this thing already coming in quite significantly here. We were up more than 100%, back to about 80 here.
Yeah, just a quick look. Got that low long there on Luckin. It's already up to 715. So let's see what happens, see how far it can go. We'll revisit that in a second. Ecor, we did actually already take half of retracement out. Just want to show you the daily chart here. And you can sort of see 170 area. Not too much of a level, but you can also look at 160 we're having a look at as well. I like the fact that it gave you a very, very tight consolidation on the way in. So as much as it wasn't an obvious level on the daily chart, it does give you this tight consolidation, 154 to about 145. And that's the short that we took on this retracement play. You know, you're up 76%. It was up over 90 at one point and higher than that even earlier in the pre-market. And we have taken half off. When I get that 10% move on one of these plays, when they're a cheap stock, I will take it. You do have to be wary of some of these and how far they can run. And when the FOMO traders start to come in maybe off of the open. So we're going to have half on, see if we can get the bigger flush down towards $1. This was a 74-cent stock yesterday. So you always have to have the bigger picture in mind as to how far that retracement can go.
Yeah, I haven't looked at any of these stocks yet today, but the Ecor, I know Neil's been on it. So everything that he said, very nice.
Let's go over to Twitter, guys. Goldman Sachs giving Twitter the thumbs up today from neutral to buy, upgrading the stock. There was no mention of a price target, which was kind of interesting, but Twitter here, nice little 5% move in the pre-market. We're back above 24, kind of holding actually above 24, even with, looks like the rest of the market kind of grinding a little bit here, guys. What do we think of Twitter?
Yeah, you know, oddly enough, it feels very strong here. I mean, you get that nice consolidation. You do have the bottom that was made. I'm now looking at the daily chart here off the 20 bounce. It was sort of rounding into a higher low on that little play. And now we're looking to retest sort of this little pivot area here at 24.40. And that's the price that I had written down. The pre-market high is 24.30, so you can fade into it if you like. Call it a price range, an area, whether you want to break long at 24.40, whether you want to break long at 24.30. I'm going to take either one of those. Like I said, we saw last time there was a big jobs report that was negative. The market was bought up. You want to have some ideas where you can pick something up. And I think Twitter, it feels like it's going to be that type of a play today. So we'll have a quick look at both those price levels.
Yeah, I don't even mind right here, 24.20. I mean, I know Neil mentioned 24.40. If we pull this back a little bit to yesterday, yeah, we're up. I mean, 5% is a 5% move. So yesterday's bottom, it couldn't break through 23.58 yesterday, and now today looks like 24.20 is going to be coming straight into play. And yeah, look, I like this level on Twitter for sure. You don't have to give yourself too much risk down to 23.90, 23.80. I did want to check in just to see, because we're talking about some New York stocks here. CCL, we're going to get to that in a minute, but big buy imbalance. A lot of you may not look at the market on open imbalance locator. We're lucky enough to have it here with us on our PPro8 platform. Check out daytradetheworld.com if you want to join us. But XOM right here, 500,000. Well, now 400,000 to buy at the open. There's a little bit of a weed name right here, so let's hit one of my favorite graphics, the Weed Batman. So ACB right there. If you're interested in that kind of a spot, you could get some plays there. Whiting, Petroleum, Oxy's on here, Marathon, everything, Chesapeake. So yeah, energy sector going to be in play today, guys. That is for sure.
Yeah, Sean, going to come right back to you with that. Oxy, you want to talk about OXY moving higher here along with crude prices in the pre-market. I mean, the whole group is higher, obviously, 11.5% move in crude, but Oxy seems to be kind of leading the way so far. We had, you know, this thing was absolutely crazy after that tweet yesterday from Trump suggesting, you know, the production cuts may be coming. Oxy kind of pushing highs here already today, Sean.
No, I love Oxy here, and thanks, Brendan, for that. Yeah, look, $14, and I just, again, Neil wasn't here yesterday, but look at this move. I mean, I hope he's looking at it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is what's capable. These stocks can just explode. So $11.50 all the way to $14. That's, I don't even, percentage-wise, that's just a monster move. About 20% right there off that tweet from President Trump there. About the oil numbers coming. I think he wants them to cut 10 million barrels a day, the Saudis and Russian, but I think it's only going to be about 6, they said. Okay, so the bottom line is, what I'm trying to show you here is that we went as high as 14. This little high yesterday was 13.90. We hit it a couple times before fading back down, and looky, today's high, 1390 again. So we're right up here again. You know what? You can play this as a break, man. I really, really like Oxy long at this level. There's a few other names. Obviously, XOM is another one. Shout out to Kevin O'Leary. If you weren't with us 2 days ago, we had Kevin O'Leary on, and I actually put him right on the spot and asked him right away, a not prepared question or anything about the oil markets, and he picked XOM and said that, you know what, he's going to be buying up a lot of these poor assets, balance sheet problems, so on and so forth, and XOM may survive. And look, here it is right here again, bouncing up to $42. XOM pulled back a lot more than some of these other names. So if you're looking for something that possibly could be weaker than the others, you may want to look at XOM today. But those are the names I'm looking at. Neil, did you have another one or something similar?
I'm looking at Oxy as well, and it was more that when I was cashing the market and tuning in, it seemed like the obvious one, or at least the most action-packed one to play in the energy space. And I like that break. I also think if there's any kind of a dip to the downside, I want to defend 1290 any chance I get if it tries to pull back there. I really doubt that's going to happen. The other level, which is a little closer, we'll have a quick look at 1340, and that's about 50 cents down. Interesting battle happening right here on Luckin, right at that $7 area. So, you know, for me, I took a little bit off in that 715 range, then got some back in when it hit the 7. Like I talked about that 680, I think we'll try to give it to that. Off the open, though, you sometimes have to give it a little bit more room. So you have to be careful with that on position size. If it does give a dip and then retake 7 after a nice opening range is made, that could be a good place to load up.
All right, guys, I want to talk about Facebook. Sean, you mentioned Kevin O'Leary on the show earlier this week. He was actually on CNBC last night with Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook. They were talking about hiring a whole bunch of people, 10,000 plus possible hires coming to Facebook in their engineering side of things because of increased demand. We already had a look at Twitter. They reported higher user numbers as well. Facebook here, guys, kind of flat, but doing some volume anyways in the pre-market.
I mean, yeah, you mentioned there yesterday talking about, look, everyone's going to be hiring. Facebook's going to be great. Twitter's going to be great. Everyone's going to be great. Yada, yada, yada. So let's just wait to see what happens when it opens up here, Brendan. We did have a nice high of 161, made a couple times yesterday during that crazy chaos. What was the morning there yesterday? 161.40 was the high. We're going to open up all the way down here. We're still flat on the day. It's following the market. Obviously, I like it. We'll zoom it in a little bit here. If you could take out this 159, great. We're only at 158 right now. If the market falls, you have 157. So for these kind of plays, honestly, I've been burned a little bit too much taking it. And those of you that have watched, I like to take the trades maybe a minute in or so, let the market on open order settle down. You can see they don't even know what they want to do with this stock. How is it at 159 at about 9:10, and then a minute earlier it was literally at 157? So not a minute, but 5 minutes. So you get this crazy range here, and I'm going to be hands off of Facebook until it breaks outside of these. I don't know, I don't even want to call it consolidation. It's just it can't make up its mind here. It's bouncing back and forth $1. I'm going to stay away. I much prefer something like a Microsoft that's much better structure, about a 156 to the long side.
Yeah, and then you can even look at what happened yesterday at the open, or just any open on Facebook. You see the ridiculous wicks all over the place. You're absolutely right about that, Sean. Got to stay away from some of these names, or that type of a name, at least in the first few minutes. I know there's a few other names in small cap territory outside of eCore that we can have a quick look at. Brendan, I know you got one of them.
Yeah, one that had a bit of a move in the afternoon yesterday, AYTU, Biosciences, gapping up again this morning, only 4.5%. Just wanted to point out this huge move that it had about mid-afternoon yesterday, around 1:30. They received the first 100,000 shipments of their new test kit that they will now be rebranding and relabeling so it meets FDA approval and then shipping to the U.S. So a little bit of a pop here for AYTU. Watch 170 up to 175, guys.
Thanks a lot there, Brendan. Right. Look, we got a dip down there in Luckin. It does come down. Like I said, I'd reloaded, but didn't get the reload at 680. And then bouncing back to 7 even. It wasn't at the open. It was a minute and a half to the open, so you don't want to get too frisky, as things could get wild in that first 30 seconds or so. But we're about to open it up. I want to update you on that eCore. That's the other name that we have. Only a quarter of the position left, as we're able to take already. We'll floss out there a 20-cent win on that last quarter. We're looking for the last flush to maybe get down towards $1 to $1.10. If we come anywhere back to break even, you can still use that 155 level. However, you have increased confidence if it tests it at the open and fails. That's where you really want to jump back in. Jumping in front of the sword, not necessarily the best play in the first couple of minutes there.
No, we don't like to do that at all. I'm still in the Luckin trade. I haven't taken anything out. We're going to wait to see if it breaks above 725. But yeah, nice little reload there if you could have got it, 690 or so. Good spot. All right, the futures, guys, we're about 40 seconds away now from that. We're trading live, guys. All of our executions are live. You're going to hear Neil and I pound the pavement when we're in on some of these stocks. Check our trades below. You'll see that we're in Luckin now. You'll see I think Neil was or still is in that E-Core.
Yeah, little E-Core left.
Yeah, great. Check out our spots at the bottom. You're going to see us getting filled up on there. And, you know, put your comments in YouTube. We'll try to get them as fast as we can. But right now, Microsoft to the top side, 155. Definitely looking at that one. 156 break should be good. We're going to see what happens with these market on open orders. Remember, guys, it's Friday, so there could be a lot of buying and selling happening right off the open here. People uncertain of what they want to do today. But only 10 seconds to go, Neil.
Yeah, dropping that little countdown. We have Rob from our IT group and looking very
Hello,
handsome.
Rob.
I love that haircut. 3, 2, 1.
Twinsies.
What is he ringing the bell with? Life. Okay. Yeah, he's got the white.
He is hitting it with the white.
Topical action there.
I like it.
Couldn't use the mallet. Twitter right here actually coming to the downside immediately. 24 gets taken out. We did like that long through 24.30. We don't get it. But Oxy through 14 right off the bat. You see the break at 14 even. I just got triggered into it. Looks like it got to 14.20 before coming back in. Watch out. We said 13.50 was that sort of first level on a bit of a pullback that you have a look at. Luckin, bye-bye. 7.35 I just saw.
All at you, boy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's go, Luckin. Yeah, okay. Microsoft right here. We're going to wait to see if we can't get a few more shares long. But for some reason, again, I didn't even think I had this order in. But we trigger long 155.80. Again, it's a small risk spot here on Microsoft. We don't put much risk in at the beginning. It's nice to see Luckin going. But we are long Microsoft right down here. We'll see if we can't average into that position. Okay, Oxy, good. Oh, back down below. Oh, I wanted
down to that 13.50
wow, that's flushing,
already.
Boy.
Big time flush. I talked about that 13.50. You always have to watch out in the first few minutes to see how ugly it gets. I got to go manual on this one through 13.50. No stop order. You got to sit there with your hands on the keys to make sure it actually trades through that price. It continues down, but this could be a bloodbath early. Coming back in 5% now. Oxy. So Oxy coming in, Luckin back to that 680. So I want to be loading up there if we can get it at that 680 price.
8 spot 53 here. Just looking at CCL, Carnival Cruise Lines. We destroyed that stock yesterday. You guys know that one. Look, 850 is the top there. It made off the open. You do get a lot of these crazy wicks off the open. So here we go. Let's see if we can't get back to 850. We'll take a long if that breaks. But now we're coming right back in on CCL. So wow, right through. Okay, this market is crashing right here. Not the market, but the CCL just crashed down. Watch the market here. Still up 0.27%. Looking for a little break. Now maybe we have to take the CCL if it breaks back above 830. Not the price action I was looking for here on Carnival Cruise Lines. We did get out of a little bit of our softy, looking to reload down here at 154 and change, and then if it does break that 154, we'll bounce out. But right now, looking like a decent morning here. If you're long, future's not really doing too much though. We got to find some names that are moving, guys.
Yeah, and just looking at that Luckin right to that 680, we're going to try and defend that price. We did take some out there at 735 and then reload in front of 680. So if it holds this, fantastic. I can tell you we put in a bit of a bottom here on not Carnival, on Occidental at that 1350. Got all the way down to 1344 bouncing, went manual with this, so no stop at that price. You allow it to travel through. Now that low is going to be my out. So 1340 is the out. You know, we got 1385, should be a price at 75. You know, a little bit weak in terms of our entry point, I do think, but only 10 cents or so away from what we'd like as a target. This is why on a break early in the morning, you give yourself some risk. You only take maybe a quarter or 20% of your risk because you know if it comes down, that's where you want to defend at 1350 as we mentioned. So long in Oxy, long in Luckin still, as I want to reload in front of 680 and still have that E-Core short in the money.
Okay, great. Yeah, great looks there, guys. Let's check out our Tesla spot here as we'll hit my favorite graphic, this Tesla graphic. And yeah, Tesla pulls back just a little bit down to this 512 area. That's a good spot. We're down to VWAP right now. It actually pulled, wow, okay. This is what we're talking about. You get these crazy moves off the open. Tesla touched 496 at the open there. Now we're busting through 15 again, 1515 right now. What is this level right here? 1518. Tesla on the move now alongside here. Can we get this break? It looks like we can. What is this level here? 516. If we break above 516 right here, let's try a little long in Tesla, guys. 516.
And we're going to have to go flush down the toilet. The rest of that Luckin breaks the 680 mark. So you make on the way up, you lose a bit on the way down. Still, overall, I like the trade idea as long as you had a good risk structure. You gave you plenty of upside on that trade. And the 680 level that we called looks like it was a good price to get out. Oxy bouncing here, so you wait patiently. These loads that we have ultimately at the bottom, we're going to take out our first entry for a loss back in front of that 14 even. But the rest of this long is out in front of that 1350 mark. So we'll see if we can't work this one all the way back up past 14 on any kind of a bounce. Brendan, what do you got for us, buddy?
From yesterday, guys, ATHX, we were talking about that one at one point. Nice trending move to the downside yesterday. It was actually halted about mid-afternoon as well. Just tested yesterday's low here at 240, getting a bit of a bounce, but also another one looking weak, guys.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of looking weak, that Oxy doesn't want to go, but I can tell you CCL is the place to be. And when I was back here on Wednesday, CCL, AAL, both big movers, but 850, big time break, and 8 even, that issue price. Greg, good look. Bounce off that in the morning, but only at 820.
Yeah, guys, we just took the long there. Beautiful trade for me. Long CCL 851. We took some out at 60s there, took some out at 55. So boom, right there. Finally, a nice little explosion of some money here. Let's see what happens, though. This is why we got out. I got out of about 2/3 of that spot. CCL going long 850. Let's see if it can keep going. We can check out the last couple of days. We were no longer up here. I mean, yesterday we didn't even come close to 850. Well, we came close to 850, but we bounced off of that. So let's see if we can't keep resisting this pull down and see if CCL wants to get going here. My target's going to be something around $9. We are long right now, 851. Let's see if this one can't keep going. I feel like a little bit of a hamster in a wheel here. I'll put that in a minute because CCL always gives us that look that we think it wants to explode, but then doesn't. So right here, we're going to wait to see on that one. Our Luckin Coffee, though, I mean, that's not doing anything. We were long here at 7. It's not a huge spot for us. Maybe a reload down here at 650. We'll wait to see if Luckin Coffee wants to go. And checking back in Mr. Softy, that's not doing anything either. So we did get out of a little bit down here. We'll see if we can't get out some around the 50 spot and then get more if we do come back. There it is. Bang. A nice little out there on Microsoft as we try to get some of these gains back, guys.
And Oxy running into resistance now with that 14 even mark. So we end up with those load ups. You can see 1370, 1365, 1354 on the way back up, but stalling out here at 14 even. So we've got to take a little bit of profit off. Maybe leave ourselves with half the position for that 14 if it wants to try to break. This is not the run that we're necessarily looking for. So you're not seeing the strength come into it. And another name which I would have thought would be a little bit stronger, Twitter tries to get up towards that 2440. It does not do it. And we've held this 24 level for the time being. It's worth noting here the ES basically flat in the session, but still above that 2500 mark. So, we're kind of holding that level. That was interesting to see when that unemployment number came through, that we bounced back through that price. So I've got a couple of longs. We still have that short in Ecor, and it's the short that's winning out for me. Ecor is now down at 114. As I look at it, we talked about a target around a buck to $1.10. I think we're going to get it. Brendan, what do you got for us, buddy?
A little energy name, guys, if you like the smaller priced ones. CPG here up 20% on the day. This is huge volume that we're seeing off of the open for Crescent Point, moving through $1 in the pre-market here, but just tagged 115. Huge volume off the open for CPG, guys.
And Tesla dropped again. I mean, I was getting excited there, thinking that we could have CPG. Yeah, we'll look at that one too. Tesla back down here to 502. I was thinking we were going to break this 516 level up here, but that was wrong. So we didn't take a trade, but we're coming down. I was surprised that we got down as low as 496. We may retest that level very soon, guys. We're only a couple dollars away right now from then, and we'll see what happens. Luckin Coffee, Microsoft, and CCL. Those are my positions right now. Trying to find a way to get into this Tesla. It's just too choppy. If you guys look at this chart here, I mean, this is what you call choppy. Just 502 up to 514, bouncing around, then back down to 502 again. So if you want to go long and defend this 500 spot, not horrible right now in Tesla. If you wanted to defend 500, it might be okay right here, guys.
Thank you very much. Valeria comes with the coffee. That's what we're talking about, but I can tell you what's absolutely dying. Luckin Coffee is not going to the upside. It's already down through 650, heading towards the pre-market bottom at 6. I mean, 6 even. That's where I think 603 was the actual low, so we'll have a quick look at that one to make sure that actually ends up. If it holds up, we'll see. Maybe get a bounce and a retracement play, but a missed opportunity at that 650 pivot. It looks like 6 even is going to be the spot. 16 million in volume, and I'm going to throw a trailing stop on that Ecor. We've done pretty well on it so far. I think we can maybe get to $1, but I want to make sure we lock in at least 25 pennies. It's a $1.47 short. If you can get anything like 20% locked in, we'll try to do that with our last order. So a 120 stop on this. Brennan, what do you got for us?
Another energy name, guys, moving around. Crazy move here for Camber Energy, CEI on the NYSE ARC exchange, up 50% on the day. Was halted there briefly, just checking to see whether it was a volatility halt or an additional information halt. But CEI moving as well, guys.
I'm going to cancel. Yeah, I mean, these are all these crazy energy, highly levered plays here. Okay, Microsoft right back to where we are now at this day's high. So we'll take some off here as we're breaking through 156. Hopefully we get that breakthrough 156 and we'll add to our position here. Unfortunately, we dumped a little bit in this range. Just a little scared that we could have broke the bottom. Should not have been, but here we go. Mr. Softy back to the top side. This is what we like it. I like it a lot right now. If we could break above 156, and here we go, guys. So now we're long even more Microsoft, breaking above 156. If these futures can go, my baby can go as well. So let's see if Microsoft wants to go. Let's hit some confetti. Let's go, Microsoft. Here we go, guys. Nice little trade happening right now. 156 even. We are long. Let's go, Softy. Here we go.
Quick little move to the upside on Softy. I do like that. I'm going to move my stop up on Oxy to 1350 from that bottom. Not necessarily loving that price action that we're seeing right now. So want to make sure we get tightened up just a little bit. You were talking about Tesla there, Sean. Just having a quick look at it myself. Now we just made another bottom higher than the opening low at 500, 502 actually. If you have a quick look, 501 and change. Worth a look at this one if it retakes 500. That could be a big play, but the future's bouncing to the upside. So I now am going to look both ways here. 506 break if we go to the upside. Otherwise, it's that 500 bottom. Let's have a look at Tesla for the time being. Oxy could stop out at that 1350. Ecor still works in the money for us, about 28 cents on that 147 short.
Yeah, come on, futures. Let's get going here. The only play that we do have right now is here we go. Bang, right there. Hit the cowbell. A nice little out again on Softy again. I'm excited because we have risk on. This is my favorite stock. We talked about that yesterday. You got to put shares on when you're trading stocks that you feel like you have a good read on. And Microsoft right here. Let's go. Again, we take some out down here, but now we're reining in on our bigger position. I talked about getting longer at 156. That's the trade that we liked. And here goes Microsoft to the upside. Look, it's only 40 cents, guys. But again, depending on what your share size is, this is what we got to do. And let's go, Softy. So the bulls are running now. Big trade to the upside here on Microsoft. Let's just keep going. 156.60. This is what we're talking about. And our CCL getting going now as well. So right now we've got two positions on, and they're both looking pretty sweet, guys. Let's go.
We reloaded that Twitter, and we'll get to that in a second. 24.22 starting to come in the money for us, but we talked about that 500 there on Tesla. It's going to try to test this bottom at 496.50 here. If we don't get a break of that low, I'm going to want to tap out of this short because you don't want to be catching this bottom as the market's about to rally. And as a matter of fact, with the rallying market, I might just have to take the scalp out of this. I mean, I don't necessarily love holding on to Tesla as we're sitting here. It is what it is. I don't want to take $1.50, but I just watched the NQ bust through that little top that we made a little bit earlier in the pre-market at 76.50. I don't want to be hanging on to a short in that situation, so it is what it is. You'll take a smaller win than you wanted, but that's okay. We only have one position left. That's going to be the Twitter long. We built into this one using that 24 even area. Again, you have to watch out for these little wicks and the crazy action in the pre-market. Give it a little bit more room. We now have a structured 24.20, looking for that 24.40 break, where I think we'll take some out from front and then add on the break of 24.40. Brendan, what do you got for us?
A little pharmaceutical name here, Immunomedics, IMMU, still down 10% on the session, guys, but moving back to the upside, we held $9 there. Big time relative volume on this name, already up about 50% off the low. 50 cents off the low, but IMMU moving higher as well, guys.
Yeah, here we go, guys. Microsoft to the top side. We'll put up some of our positions, Rob. I'll go to camera 2 here for you guys. This is what we have right now on board. It's been bigger, but Microsoft still going. So this is our long right now, 156.08. You see that right here? That is 70 cents in the money. And CCL is about 10 cents in the money. But we are long that one. We've been holding that one for a while. We got stopped out on Luckin, but who cares? Microsoft and CCL, let's go upside. Here we go, guys.
Yeah, speaking of Luckin, bit of a pullback here off of that 6 even area. So we tested it once. We're bouncing rather heavily off of it, already a 10% move back up. There was a nice price at that 680 that we mentioned before. I'm going to take a shot fading in front of it at that 680 price. You have 680 to 7. That can be your target range, but you got to try to jump into this one a little bit early. I do think it's been whipping around a little bit. We'll start it at 660 here and then see if we can't work a short position. I do still like Twitter in front of that 24. My price is 24.20 or so, so we'll watch that as well. Tesla's actually holding that 500 mark, so 497 57 right now on that Oxy. I'm probably going to look to get back into that one if we can get anywhere close to that 14 even area. It just hasn't happened yet. So right now, Luckin 660 immediately goes in the money, 15 cents for us here. So I think that pullback was a nice trade.
Yeah, LK, I'll have to go back to that one as well. We did get stopped out on Luckin, so long 660 there, or well, look, I mean, here's the bottom, and let's go back. I just got out of a little bit there on Microsoft. Luckin, yeah, look, we go long here and get flushed out on that 620 break all the way back down, and now it looks like it wants to fade it again. We can look at a $6 break. What did that do yesterday on Luckin? Here's this bottom I was looking at. Yeah, it's 607, so you could get a 605 or so break. Remember, it's going to be SSR, guys, so anyone trading Luckin coffee, you might have to be patient to grab your short, but that's the biggest mover right now, 21 million shares. We could check out, I know a lot of you guys like to trade AMD as well. That's moving around doing some volume today, only 6 million shares, but look how choppy this is. This is kind of the exact trade we're trying to avoid here, up and down and around, so we need something with a few more levels. It's not going to be AMD today, guys.
Yeah, you know what, that's a tough one. And certainly, I think you can maybe look at some of the airline plays, and now that I've seen an opening range get put in on an AAL, you can see it defend $10 even on the flush off the open, then bounce right on through to 1050 before falling back down. And with the futures rolling over, I think you have a bit of a defined 50 penny range here that we can play off of. I don't like the middle too much, but I think certainly any shorts in the 35 to 40 range with a bit of a reversal looks like a good idea to me there. Brendan, what do you got for us?
Chewy, guys, bouncing nicely off the lows as well. We had a flush down to 32, or almost 32 it looks like for Chewy, but moving higher once again. Couple of upgrades for Chewy today, guys.
I like that name. Yeah, there's look, I'm an investor in Chewy, so that's pretty good. But yeah, Chewy's been a good one because a lot of people sitting at home with their pets, right? So good little look there on Chewy. Let's take a look to see what that one's doing here. Of course, it's on the New York Stock Exchange. A recent IPO, 34. Okay, we got higher than. Come on, chart. We got higher yesterday, I believe, weren't we? Yeah, there's a big spike there, 36. We were up as high as 37 before, so we'll look to see Chewy there. Good little look, Brendan. You know that we like this name. Bouncing off 32 down here. Now looking, I don't know. I guess we have to wait. I'm going to wait for this one to get 35.50. We're still a ways away on that. Our CCL's falling back down a little bit. Well, not really there. It comes right back. We're still long this name, 850, but we've taken, oh, come on. Now my chart's not loading. Come on. Chart's frozen here. We'll reload this one and get back to me.
That's all right. Just actually reloaded a little bit on Luckin myself here as it's holding this bounce a little bit. We have to watch out for that 680 level. Of course, that's what we're working off of here, but I did get some shares in 56, at 60 as well. So we got 58 as our average price. Brendan, what do you got, bud?
I feel like we mention APT, Alpha Pro Tech, guys, pretty much every single day. Another nice move here, 13.5%. This thing got as high as 1875 about midday yesterday, but then came all the way back down to 1450. We're back about 16 and a half, working our way to 17 for APT, guys.
Okay, here goes Softy. Now back to the day's high, guys. We're still long 156.08, so nice long here again, and just cashing this out. Microsoft's going to be a great one for us. Can we break this 157? That's really the question here on the day's high. It's moving with the futures not really going, so I really love Microsoft here. If these futures can get going, fantastic. I tried to reload a little bit below 156. That never happened, so I was trying to look at this little level here, 155.70. But right now, guys, if this can break through 157, let's average into our position and get more shares if that does break. But right now, Microsoft a little choppy here as the futures, whoa, here we go. Futures making a move down. This may be a good spot to average in if we can get it.
Yeah, and going to flush down the toilet. That Twitter, it's just so choppy, and I'm not going to hang on to this one too long. It breaks 23.80 to the downside. We're going to cover that one, and we're just going to work with two positions, and I'll throw the position board on so you can see all we got left. We did get a retake of 850 on Carnival. That was the level we liked. I actually like 8 even better if we can get down there to maybe test that offering price. But Luckin, we do have that 658 short. That, of course, had that 10% bounce off of what was the low of yesterday at 603-ish. So target in on that 680 level as possibly your stop. You can also look at 7 even, which we were playing before. I want to get back to Oxy. This one holding the lower end of the range. So that 14 break has not been sustained. We're now falling back below. This is looking like a bit of a short trend here. Alert to 1330 to 1340 if that gets taken out. But you can also maybe work your short off of this 1375 to 1380 area that you're seeing just above VWAP. Lots of chop, but 12 million in volume allows you to work into a position very, very well here, very scalable. Tesla, I mean, it just hangs around this 500. So I'm kind of glad I didn't sort of get, roped into that trade until it makes a direction. We were able to take a buck when we really didn't like it. It was going upside in the market. We took that one off. One last name for you that I want to have a quick look at here. As I mentioned, Tiffany's, I'm going to be looking at this stock every now and then, but I want to buy this one anywhere near 128. I got orders sitting there. If this one falls, you will see me load up between 127 and 127.50 and 128 even all day long.
All right, so loading up is what I'm doing right now, XOM. We are short this name now. Neil just talked about Oxy heading southbound a little bit, and so I'm in this XOM trade right now. We are short right here, guys, 41.33. So it's bouncing around. It dips as low there as 27. We have some bids in the 20s here. XOM, hopefully to the downside now, 41.33. We are short XOM now. If this market rallies, this will be in trouble, but oil still up that 5%, but fading back down a little bit. We'll see if we get some out in the 20s, but XOM right now, very volatile. The levels are very, very thin here. So what? See, there you go. Like, it can move 10 cents in a blink of the eye. So watch out here for XOM, guys. I love this short. Let's see if we can't pound the pavement down to 41 even, guys. Let's go.
And right here, Luckin moving back down towards that 630 or so. So we're about 20 cents in the money, 15 cents and change in the money. If we can get a move down to 6 even, we're getting out in front of that level if we can, see if it doesn't break, and then take it back in on the low end break. But Brendan, what do you got, buddy?
Big mover from yesterday had a flush out off the open over here on FRO, guys. Front line was halted a couple of times. Moving back to the upside today, we held 740 twice here, once in the pre-market, and looks like a bit of a low here off the bat for FRO. Still down about 10%, but moving higher, guys.
Come on, XOM. Let's get going here, guys. We took a little bit off there at 28. We'll see if it can keep coming down. We're only short 33. I was expecting a little bit more action there once we broke that level, but we are going to have to probably hold this one a little bit against us. We are expecting some 41 and change-ish down there. Okay, our softie is still hovering. It's funny, there's not much happening in the marketplace right now, but if this can go, look at these futures, guys, bouncing off this 2,500 down here a couple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I like the long. I mean, if we can hold this 2,500, which may be the truth, we can break through 2,530. So let's see here, guys. The futures just turned positive. We did have that horrible number this morning, but like we saw yesterday, nobody seems to care about the unemployment situation. So we'll see if that one can keep running. But right now, XOM is my biggest spot on right here. I guess from the capital side of things, Microsoft is, but XOM, we do have a decent amount of shares, hoping that this thing can flip down here to 41 and change.
I'm going to check back in on Twitter just to see it fail to get to that 24.40. Of course, that was a price we really loved. We tried fading into that. That didn't work at all, but it is now holding below 24 and feeling rather weak as the market tries to roll over here towards 7,600 on the NASDAQ, and the ES still holding decently above that 2,500 level, which if it gets taken out, I want to hang on to some of these short positions. We do have that luck in short. I'm going to maybe alter my approach here. I was going to try to hold everything to see if we couldn't get a flush down to 6 even. I might now take 15 to 20 cents on at least half the position and then see if we can't work this range. It's basically been choppy since it topped out at that 670 on this little retracement play. So I want it to break down, but we can't ignore the fact that it's doing tremendous volume, 25 million. If we can play inside the range and make some coin, might as well go ahead and do that. Oxy is moving to the downside. I was mentioning that when I know Sean over in XOM. Either one I think is going to be very, very good for you if you're going to play this pullback. We talked about that low that just got taken out there on Oxy. We grabbed it there, 1342. Going to hang on to see if it takes out this 1320 mark to the bottom side. It could get ugly if this one starts to slide back in. 1277, the previous close. So lots of room for, here it is. Lots of room for retracement. As we get some shares out there, 20-cent win. We'll hang on to the rest, see if we can't take out that 13 even.
Yeah, guys, we are just crushing it right here, guys. So hit the cowbell again. Look at XOM. I told you 41.33, and bang, we take some out there, 21s. Let's just keep going to the downside right now on XOM. Oh, yeah, and by the way, CCL, that's a home run. Those of you missing baseball, don't worry. You can just tune in every day here and see some home runs, and this is a grand slam. CCL, we're long $8.50, and boom, it's going to the upside, guys. So there you go. Hit the air horn. Wake up. Oh, you want air horn action? How about XOM? This is what we're talking about, guys. 41 and change. I gave this one to you at 41.33. Bye-bye XOM. There goes 41 all the way to the downside, and we are short this name, baby. Here we go. Keep going, baby. XOM to the downside. I think I said baby a lot of times. What's up, Brendan?
OPKO, another little one, back to small cap world here, 4% in positive territory. Did gap up this morning, but retested these levels from yesterday. No significant news on this one. This one is kind of tied to the coronavirus space. So have a look at OPK as well, guys, moving.
Guys,
and we talked about some of those shorts coming in. Luckin is one of them. I'm going to take this out here. Not all of it, just a little bit. I talked about working the range. We got those 660s. You take some out at 640. You work back in front of that 680. We'll try to get 660 once again. I want to flush to 6, but when it's doing 25 million, you got to take advantage of the volume as it's going to be there. The other one, of course, we talked about Oxy. Of course, it's going to move down as all of the other names like XOM for Sean are moving as well. But 13 even was sort of that spot that we thought it might turn. My order was sitting down here at 13.05. We turned at 13.10. I don't necessarily want to get too far away from this trade, but I am going to move my stop to 13.50 just to make sure we don't turn a winning trade into a losing trade and then think about a reload in front of 13.50 on Occidental.
Yeah, here we go, guys. Big trade there on CCL. Getting out. You guys know I love those 75s, 25s, 50s. We're long at 50, and then we're out at 75. So ring that register over and over and over again. XOM down here, we got out basically at the bottom of the day, 40.90. We're still holding a third of this position as well, but everything rocking and rolling right now. Our softy trade has also been a big one there. We went bullish on Microsoft, and that just keeps on working its way, for us. It did drop down, but look at some of these outs up here, guys. Great little trade on Microsoft. Go long here. We had to suffer a little bit. We get a 40%, but then bang, right to the upside. We go long again, 156. Cash out all up here, and now we're holding 15% of our position still, looking for a 157 break. But XOM, great out down at the bottom. Like I said, we're still holding about 40% of this trade. Let's get some out. And one of our favorite parts to throw to is Valeria, but I got to find this first. There's Valeria Batman. Take it over, Valeria.
Hey guys, hello everyone and welcome who just joined us. It's a live trading show, and if you're passionate about trading, if you want to learn or improve your trades, and if you want to stay updated with all the latest news in the world of finance, you're in the right place at the right time. Please hit the thumbs up, support trading community, and subscribe for our channel. We are live every day. If you're watching us from Facebook, like and share our video. Please guys, we are trying for you. And of course, keep the chat active, ask us questions, leave comments, send a bear or bull emoji. How do you think how the market closed this week? That's all for now. Back to traders.
Bear or bully.
Thank you very much. I actually just took my CCL off there in front of 870. It seemed like it wanted to stall out and wasn't going anywhere. Choppy market, like we mentioned. This is why, like I said, in something like a Luckin, you're going to take off that 20 cents. Now, look, it looks like we're going to head southbound. I do like us to test that 6 even area. So we're still going to hang on to this 656 short that we do have. But watching, again, the futures just bounce in the ES off of 25.05. And what does that mean? The Tesla's doing its dance. And I do feel like, we talked about this. If you couldn't get through that 5 even mark, you didn't want to, or 500 mark, sorry, to the downside and hold. You wanted to have some exposure to maybe the fact that it would break up. I was liking a 506 break. In this sort of chop, I'll take one shot at it, but with a tight stop at 500 even. So 506 is the price that we're looking at. We're about to get there just now on Tesla. Still up 11%. But remember, 530 in the pre-market we saw.
We're going to take off 45 cents here on Microsoft. We do get a nice little bounce back off of this 155 and change. So we're sitting here at 156.45 right now to see if we can't get some off of this one. And this will be a nice little 45 cent winner, or more than that. Yeah, 156.08. So about 35 cents. If we can get out right now, and again, look, it's bounced off this 50 level once, twice, and then 3 times right now. So not super excited about the Microsoft long until we get back up here near the day's high. And there it is, bang! So we hit the cash, and it's just flowing everywhere today, depending on what you're trading. CCL is in the money right now. I'll throw up my position board once again just to show you guys what we do have. We have 3 positions all right now. I'll go to camera 2, Rob. You can see, guys, this is what we have. CCL long, 851. Neil just talked about that. 20 pennies in the money. Microsoft's now 55 pennies in the money. And XOM, we're very light now. That's only 7 pennies in the money, but we already cashed our 40 cents on that move. So let's just keep this train going, guys. It's been a big day.
Yeah, already looking. I just have a couple of shorts on. You've already seen Oxy and Luckin, but Twitter continuing to hold below 24. You're seeing it try to bounce off of this low. Opening range bottom was 23.55. It's now made a bit of a higher low here at 23.66. So it's maybe giving you another shot at this long trade. We're holding above that 2,500 mark, basically flat in the overall market. So if you like something as a long, like we kind of did over here in Twitter, it might give you a bit of a base here in front of this higher low. So I'm looking at 23.65. It's gone down a few cents in that. So either you're watching the bottom at 55 as you're out, or you're going to allow it to travel upward in this range and take a break at 23.90. I'm going to let this one teeter out for till about 10 o'clock or so, see if it can hold this as we sit here in two shorts, and then looking for a possibility of a breakout. If we can get to top side in the futures, I want to break out in Tesla, but that one just can't seem to get going. It just flushed $10 from that price. So Tesla now down to towards its low. Wow, that was pretty quick. I was looking for a breakout long, and look at that little flush. So turn on a dime right at our price at 506. I guess that was a good price area. Tesla towards the low.
Yeah, 506. I was waiting for that long. I wish I would have looked at that and reanalyzed it to a short side. But right here, guys, we're looking to get Softy out. Oh my God, it went to 156.80. There, I was at 85. So we're going to wait again up here in the high 80s. See if we can't get out of some Microsoft. I mean, look, the market right now. I know we've just talked about this a little bit, but it's bouncing off this 25.25. Basically, the high is 25.30. These are the S&P 500 E-minis. So that's what I like to look at. Neil, more I think the NASDAQ 100, but again, just depending on what you're trading, we're in a very tight range. This is not the kind of market that we're used to over the last couple weeks. So what my advice is to all of you guys out there, gals, traders, take a little less risk right now on the win. Put the shares in, man. The moves are here. We've been hammering them today. I hope, congratulations, anybody has our trades, but maybe don't expect to hit those home runs, sort of like we've been doing. Slow down and try to take a few smaller winners. That's my advice for right now until we break back above 25.25, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean.
There goes Softy, though. Wow.
Absolutely correct on all of that. You definitely have to adjust your risk when you see these choppy markets, but the volume is there. The big names are there, like Luckin is moving, Oxy's moving, Carnival has been always a good one. But right now, it's 10 o'clock, and that means we need to jump to Brendan at the big screen for Happening Now.
Hey guys, 10 o'clock, we'll have a look at North American markets here, see how things are shaping up on a Friday. Yeah, pretty muted. Really no significant, movement in any of these markets. Just seeing ISM non-manufacturing index coming out 52.5 versus 50 expected, so a little bit of a beat there. Let's go to the board here and have a look at how things are doing. Pretty flat right across the board. We are positive on the S&P, but only slightly. The Dow, a little bit negative there, 0.2% or so to the downside. Tech stocks trying to lead the way higher here, 0.2% higher for the NASDAQ. If we move down to small cap world, 0.37% to the downside for the Russell, the small cap index. TSX here in Toronto, basically flat. Really not a lot going on. We had a whole bunch of strength coming from energy stocks. They are now coming back to the downside. Some of the banks showing weakness. Cannabis, though, surprisingly doing quite well today. Down in Brazil, the BOVESPA in negative territory, 1.4% so far today to the downside. Let's have a look at a few individual names here. This is Crescent Point. We talked about this one down in the U.S. earlier. CPG here in Toronto, 16.5%. Still holding 150 here. It's kind of been above, below, a little bit of a pivot there, 150 for CPG. Wanted to point out the volume down here at the bottom. You can see yesterday's volume compared to today. Monster volume on that move in crude oil coming into some of these energy names. The other one, Suncor, not as much volume, not as strong either. Kind of gapped higher here above 25, immediately flushes down to 23.50. Trending move kind of setting up on SU if you want to have a look at that one. Watch those futures though, crude futures. I mean, they're going to be tied to that. Weed, we'll have a look at cannabis here a little bit. 1975 was support, broke 20 all the way up to 2025. So cannabis names kind of leading the market higher here in Toronto, although most of these indexes, guys, pretty flat right across the board. Back over to you.
Okay, we got executed long into Microsoft, but we did not break that 157 area. So it looks like our software says 157.04. I don't know if there must have been a hold there. So we did get out of a little bit of our shares, but that's fine. We're still long here, 156.99 now on Microsoft. So I like this name. I talked about it going through 157. Let's just hope that that can happen, and then we'll ride this thing higher and higher and higher. But right now it's resisting this 157. We are long here. We talked about the market getting going. It tried to break that 25.25 125, but didn't. So we're going to be stuck long on Softy until it gets going, but that's okay. We're down 10 cents right now on this name. We are looking to go long on Microsoft even longer if we can get back into 156. I'll probably have to dump this if we get all the way back to VWAP here. So we are looking at probably $1 or so worth of risk here if the futures do fall. But right now, Microsoft is in a little bit of trouble as we punch long through 154, even though it didn't break. So we may have to average into this position, which is fine. We do love Microsoft.
Sean, just having a quick look at Boeing, a name that we haven't touched yet. 129 was an interesting pivot in the afternoon yesterday, right about midday. You can see the flush through that price when it tried to break through. We just bounced up a $6 move top to bottom at the open and then failing at that same 129 level. So if we're going to be range bound in the futures, I feel like we can now think about playing a Boeing on a break of that price. So you talk about 129 even, but also think about shorting in front of it. So you go both directions, expose yourself to both, especially in the choppy market, if you can find a level that you like. And now that I found one in Boeing, we're going to jump into the short in front of 129. We're going to reverse to the long if we can get it. So 128-ish will work an average price in Boeing short, and see if we can't run this one back to the downside. It is up 3%, but the market doesn't seem to want to go. So I think we can get a decent range in this one if it can hold that top.
Okay, we just took some more Microsoft here as well at 156.50. So our average price right now, 92. It's still not great. I'm not putting in too much risk. I am going to dump this, like I said. Look at this little level here, 155.88. So if we're going to dump down below there, we will dump off Microsoft. So yeah, this is going to be an exciting little ride here as the futures. I mean, look at this move. I'm stuck in Microsoft as this moves down 10 handles on me here. So look, if we break that 2,500, that's a key level in the S&P 500. Right now, we're long CCL and Microsoft. I don't have anything to the short. I actually dumped off my XOM. We should have maybe kept that. Let's check back. XOM right back down here. Look, we're short, cashed out. Then it comes right back to where we're in. We get out for flat there. And now XOM. Should have held that one on the short side, guys. Sorry about that, but still a monster winner. But yeah, should have probably put a little more faith in that short with crude oil. Let's check out crude oil quickly before we go. K20 here is the symbol on our platform in the NYMEX, and you can see this is the problem with oil right now. 28.52 was the high made about an hour ago, and now you faded back down. So we're down about $2 on crude oil in the last hour or so. So that's most likely the reason for this XOM drop. Microsoft's back above our average price right now.
Yeah, just having a quick look at Twitter here, and the same thing happened to me in Oxy when you're talking about oil there. So I ended up flatting the second half of the trade. Maybe could have hung on to it there, but Tesla holds the 490 bottom another time here. So you're getting a secondary bounce. I talked about that 506 level. I'm not going to move my stop. I'm either doing one of two things, either shorting in front with a reversal long, or only going long if it breaks that 506. At this point, as we're sitting in a bit of a range in the futures, you want to open yourself up to both those opportunities. I do already have a short on in a Boeing right now. We just took some on a 127, an 18-ish area. I want to have a price around 128 even when we test that 129. That was a pivot that we looked at yesterday. So I want to slide you over to this trade because we're now going to work into a bit of a Boeing play in either direction. You're going to take this top end range here, and yes, 128.60 is the high of the session so far. When you go back to yesterday, it's more 129. That's going to be the key price for me. So I only have the one entry. Tried to catch some here on the way back in at 128. Unable to do so. I will still leave this order in. I want to get more shares into this short, and I want to be exposed to that reversal long if we can get it. But for the time being, I will update the position board so you can see what we do currently have. That's still short in luck in playing that range. 656 to the short side there if it does come up. Yeah, and got our Boeing initial entry at 127.18. I want to add at 128 if we can. That's that 129 reversal to the long side we're talking about.
Oh, man, I can't believe that's stupid. XOM there. Should have dropped that one, but whatever. Here goes Microsoft. Like I said, we're back above our average price here. Couple nice little averages in here. 156.25 and then 156.37. So now we're back to the upside, and let's go. Now we're sitting here at 95, trying to capture this one. We're long now at 70. So let's see if we can't get a little bit through 157 finally, as these futures are starting to go a little bit. Microsoft will be a big one, man. This will be a day changer for me if this can get above 157. 157 here. It's trying, guys. 156 and change. Here we go. Come on, let's go, guys. 157, hit that number. There we go. So we're out of a little bit. You see that tick? Right now, these are our outs, man. Buy, buy, buy. We did take 157, got aggressive on that one. But like I said, if you believe in your positions, then reloading is not a problem. So here we go. We believe in Microsoft holding this bottom. Let's see if it can't take it off. But the futures, come on, Trump, tweet something. Let's get going, man. Maybe we can get these futures back above 25.25 here. Then Microsoft, let's go. Microsoft, here we go. We hammered that one, and now we are rewarded with a 40-penny winner. If Microsoft gets going, this could be huge, guys.
Microsoft up, and Luckin continues to slide to the downside. We talked about holding some of this short. It finally breaks that 640 mark. We're now headed further southbound. 630 we're at now. We took 56. We took some at 60 to the short side. So, that was our blended price. We did take some off for a 20-cent win. We told you why we were going to do that. But if we can test 6 even, that's going to be a monster level for Luckin. It's now negative on the session. We're holding below that 640 price that we closed at. I do love this one. I might move my trail if we retest 6 even. I'll go from that 680 stop and bring that one down to break even. But I want to see us fade down towards that opening range bottom before that does happen. So a couple of shorts on right now. We're basically right at that 128 mark on Boeing. So, short at 127.60. I got one more add in me, but I want that to be closer to that 128.60 top, which we're looking at in today's session. Of course, 129 was the level I'm working off of as a stop on Boeing. So a couple of shorts for me, looking for a long position. I like that Tesla. If we got back above that 500, it just hasn't really shown juice yet. So Tesla looking relatively weak despite that awesome deliveries number. Brendan, what do you got for us?
One in New York here, guys. NYSE, this is Macquarie Infrastructure, down 27%. Just made new lows on the day on decent volume there below 1750. They announced this morning that they're going to have to dip in a little bit further to their credit facility in the tune of around $2 billion. So it's not good for MIC, guys.
Yeah, whenever it's with a B, it's not good. Okay, yeah, $2 billion there. We did take a little bit more out. Look at this out on Microsoft, guys. You want to drop your jaws there. Hopefully you guys are able to trade this with me here today. Microsoft has just been a monster of a trade, so that's been fantastic. Look at this out, 157.40 up there. That's the high of the day. That's where we ticked out some of our shares. We're still long about, I'd say about a third of our Microsoft position. Now long 156.40. As you see here, this is what we're talking about. And where's that hamster wheel? Because this is what I feel is like happening right now with the market. Up and down and around. We're just running in circles here because we go up to 25.25. That's the level I just gave you guys 2 seconds ago. And it didn't break. And I said Microsoft would be huge if it broke. We did get this little action up here, which gave us a beautiful win. But now we're fading back down. So I almost want to, leverage a little bit and hedge with a short. But that's why I'm sad about dropping this XOM. Let's see if Microsoft can't get back again above here, but we're going to look for some new names because I think we've kind of possibly milked this one for as much as it can be here. That was about $1 win right there, top to bottom.
I don't think we're done with this Luckin trade. I think if you're looking for something, it's going to be active. It's sliding down towards this 620. I'm hesitating. I just don't want to take any of this off. You have 35 cents here, and for a stock doing 30 million, I'm probably being at least a little bit greedy. I got a bit of a bid here. If 620 gets taken out, I think maybe we'll use that as a bit of an out. If it doesn't go, we'll punch out, see if we can't get something to 25. But if it takes out 620, let's see if we can't use that flush to get out. It doesn't look like it wants to. Brendan, with the upgrades and downgrades, as I figure out the last of this Luckin trade.
Hey guys, a few interesting movers on this board today. We'll have a look at what has been upgraded and downgraded. Altria, Lululemon, Twitter, we mentioned in the pre-market there. Goldman Sachs giving Twitter the thumbs up, raising it from neutral to buy. Walgreens Boots Alliance, traded that one a little bit yesterday. Bed Bath & Beyond, Dave & Buster's, Microchip, and PVH. Dave & Buster's still up 5.25%, even with a downgrade today. They did report also that was, ho-hum, restaurant type business. But I want to focus on this one, Twitter. We'll have a look at that. Big gap to the upside in the pre-market today. If I can shift over here. There we go. Big gap to the upside in the pre-market today, but starting to come in a little bit. 24 was resistance in the pre-market. We're all the way down to 23.40. So kind of consolidating here at day lows for Twitter below that 23.50 area as well. This kind of level that we had late in the day yesterday was 23 even. So still a significant way to go down there if you want to try and find a short. Twitter looking a little bit relatively weak. Yeah, this is Dave & Buster's play moving higher today. Interestingly, we're kind of banging off of 1080 to 11 up here, a little bit of resistance. We were trading down at kind of 975 to 950 yesterday afternoon. So both of those looking like they might be a decent short opportunity at some point, guys. That's a look at what has been upgraded and downgraded. Back over to you.
Interesting.
I'm going to hit this one for you guys. Basically perfect. We talked about the structure of this trade. 680 was that pivot point. Once it broke, that's when you gave up on that reload long that we took. You can see here the reload long, you end up losing on that. It is what it is. Our initial longs were good on 7, then we lose on the reload. It's all about this little pullback. We make a bottom at 6 even. When it comes in, we like that 680. It fails to get past about 665. We jump in here at 60 and 56. Hang on to it. You take some out when it consolidates for a 20-cent win. You get the rest out in front of that bottom. If we break the low on Luckin, it's on 33 million shares. You can get in and out whenever you want, so you'd be very, very picky about your prices because you're likely to get it as long as you're in the right direction with the trend. So I'm now looking for another pullback, maybe into that 640 to 50 range. We'll load back into this one. I don't love the long in front of 6, but if you want to jump in, it seems like it's a pretty good level here. It's now held twice.
Yeah, we're gonna same thing. We're gonna look to go short if it does break it, but who knows if that's gonna happen or not. 156.24. Just looking at Microsoft right here on where we'll get out of this long. We're still long at 156.40. It doesn't look like it wants to go as the future's coming back down here. So we did dump a little bit more there at 08 for once again another win. So we'll hit the air horn for that. Microsoft's been my biggest stock today. Well, XOM's been pretty big as well. CCL though now falling back down. I want to get this short. So we'll see about that. We are long CCL. I don't know why that didn't fill, but CCL with some resistance up here at 830. I like to short through here. So let's renegotiate that and talk about getting short right now on CCL because it looks like it's going to break this level, guys.
Quick look here, but we got half out on Boeing for $1 move. We got our second load was at 128. I'm looking for us to retest this 125 mark. That was the opening price. If we can get it, we'll be happy with that $2.50 or maybe $3 win on the second half of our shares. Brendan, what do you got, buddy?
Etsy, guys. Nice look for Etsy today, up 12%. We had 2 or 3 price target increases on this name today. Went from 35 at the open all the way up to 39.5 right now for ETSY, guys.
41.27. Okay, yeah, I mean, I love that too. That's a great name.
No, you're absolutely right there, Sean. I mean, the one that I kind of feel like should have already been on the quote board, but we can certainly add it here. What a fantastic break. It gave you multiple opportunities to the upside there. So, you can't sleep on a name like that. All I have left on, to be honest, is just that Boeing position. I'm looking for a place to get back into Luckin, of course. But, whoa, nope, now we're flat. Why? We'll floss it off because Boeing just gave us 125.40 out in front of that opening price. 125 even, bit of a pivot area. You can see right down here at the open. It made a bit of a base. It broke through that one. Consolidation at 125. So as I work that short off of the high in here, both at 127.20 and again here at 128. You got to have some targets. You had that VWAP out. You have the second out at that open price. So for me, if it wants to continue going, that's fantastic. When you're scalping a trade, ultimately you have to have some targets off that make sense with regards to your relative loss or where your risk parameters are going to be. That's a good one over there in Boeing. We're going to check in on Tesla. That's been an interesting stock, but I'm really liking that 506 break. It just doesn't seem like Tesla wants to make any kind of move to the upside. You can forget about it. Continues to slide lower. Wish I'd held that short that I took $2 on. Could have been like 10. Wow.
Yeah, Tesla, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. Some big moves happening in every spot here, including CCL. We are now reversed over to the short side on Carnival Cruise, so we'll see if that one's going to come through. We do want to average in to this price if it's coming in. Look at the futures, though, guys. Watch out for this 2,500. We did talk about that one. We'll dump our Microsoft if 2,500 breaks, but we are waiting to see if that happens. Futures pulling back down. I did have an interesting name here, Apple. I did like it if the markets kept going. Here. It was pretty weak up here. Did not break this 246 level there. I was hoping for a break, but now we pull back down $2 now. A downward move on Apple. Should have shorted up here when I kept seeing it resist, but I was thinking long if we did break, like I told you in the futures, but now that futures move coming back down, Apple coming weak, maybe a 242 break or so on that name, but right now we're averaged into CCL and we are looking at dumping this Microsoft. That's here comes 2,500 to the downside. I hope you guys are holding on to your shorts.
Yeah, and a bit of a bounce here in that Boeing. It doesn't look like it wants to get any kind of a pullback, which would give you an entry around view up. So watch out for that 125 mark. We just, of course, got out of our trade there. And if you're talking about shorts that you like, you can't get too far away from Luckin Coffee, which is headed down towards that 6 even mark. We got out basically right here where it is. So it's not like we've given anything away. If it goes to 6, maybe you risk 10 extra pennies you could have had with that short. It's not pulling back. You got to have that break if it happens. If 2,500 goes, you need some other shorts, whether it's 125 on Boeing, maybe it's Oxy under 13 as I look at it right now. Wish I had to hang on to that short when we reloaded and got out flat. So a couple of ideas here to the short side in case we take out 2,500 on the ES. If we hold it, again, I'm going to probably stay away from that Tesla, looking at how weak it is down here, and maybe have a quick look at Twitter again as a maybe bounce back play.
Yeah, Tesla, everything right now. Look at this market fall down. We're going to hit 2,500. We did reload on CCL up here. Unfortunately, when it does break, we basically get the low of the day there, 827 on that 830 break. So that's the problem when you hit stop orders. And just to let you guys know, we are obviously an educational show as well. So stop order sell. So that's what we hit there. And that's when you put a limit price in and it gets triggered upon hitting. So right there, my price was 830, triggers down a market order, and we get 827 in change. So we're going to wait to see. Here it comes rifling right back down. Our average price now is 29. So we're back to in the money or at the money now on Carnival Cruise Lines off a beautiful average in. Let's just see, man. If these futures keep falling, we could have a decent winner. I'm sort of thinking first leg out, I'll get some out ahead of this 20 and then see if 815 can hold to the downside. But look at this. A lot of buy interest rate here, guys. I don't like this 825 sitting there. Hopefully that can break through, and I'll kind of push this down for those of you that don't have direct market access. We can see all the pending orders here. So I see a big resting order here of 50,000 shares or so on ARCA. Not that that should be a problem with the 32 million share done so far today.
Sean, monster level here at 10 even on American Airlines. 500,000 shares on the NASDAQ book. Another 300,000 here at the ARCA book. And you can see what's been happening as it continues to push towards those lows. Made a fresh low here when it broke that 1010. And now this 10 even area is the futures are right at that 2,500 mark. So these two things could happen at the same time. We break 2,500, we break 10 even. Watch out. If this goes, you might want to jump into a quick little short and then see if you leave yourself some room just in case it flushes back in. I just grabbed some quick 95s for one of those little scalp plays. You take advantage of that extra liquidity that's going to be there to see if you can't take a quick win on about 40%, maybe half your position. There's so much liquidity there. I grabbed 95 short on a 10 even break, so 5 cents worth of slippage. Once you've made some money, you're now playing with house money. You can allow it to maybe break all the way back to 10. You can reload. I'm probably not going to do that. A failed break can be ugly on the way back up. So you take that quick little scalp that I talked about. 2,500 holds on the futures. So for me, that means do not dig into this trade if we're going to hold that bottom. But you've already made some playing with house. If it breaks 10, I'll get out of the rest. Brendan and the small cap recap is next.
Hey guys, yeah, a couple of pretty easy setups, I think, to show you today. Ecor, the first one I want to talk about. We mentioned this one in the pre-market. Nice little move back to the downside after a big pop yesterday. They came out after market yesterday and said they had a new treatment that was showing some signs of success to treat the symptoms of coronavirus. So I just drew the line here. 155 was a bit of resistance here in the aftermarket yesterday. So 155 ended up giving you a really nice consolidation just before the open this morning. So we were underneath, obviously, that significant level, giving you the opportunity to use it as a stop. So if it does trade back above that level at the open, we do get a wick there, but doesn't really close back above 155, and then a nice flush all the way down to $1. So we're approaching $1. So nice little 50-cent trade there, depending on how you got into it on ECOR. The other one, Capri Holdings, another one that was moving around in the pre-market today. Big pop on positive news, again related to the coronavirus. I mean, the significant level was all the way up here at 150. There was a bit of a consolidation, again, moving into the open. We get the sell-off all the way down to 105. So not a huge trade, a little bit of a slow mover today, but a couple of pretty easy shorts in small cap world today, guys. Back over to you.
No, we like easy trades.
I got to stop putting trailing stops on these small cap plays. We talked about that short. I mentioned that $1 to $1.10 mark is a target. It bottoms out here at 107, so exactly what you're looking for. Of course, I see it move deep in the money on this big flush here to 115. So I'm sitting there, with our short at 140, basically at 145. You're 30 pennies in the money. You got almost a 20% return. And I say to myself, okay, I'll just throw a stop at an even area like a 125. Forget that, man. Don't put that stop in. Allow it to actually test a level. You can see this flush happen below 130 here. It tests that 127, doesn't make a break up past there, doesn't even test 130. You hang on to your short at that point. You get the last quarter, take that extra win where you get about 40 cents worth of a return. Big time trade. It could have been on the last quarter. It's a good trade. There's nothing wrong with it. Most of it out in the pre-market, but bigger trade if you don't put a trailing stop. Trailing stops are for liquid names, the bigger movers. I think in small caps, a lot of times you throw them in there, and it's just a waste of time. All I ever end up doing is throwing away extra profit instead of managing the trade myself when it's a dollar stock.
Here goes CCL. Yeah, I mean, I use trailing stops sometimes, but yeah, they're very dangerous, especially like Neil was saying in illiquid markets. You don't want to use them at the beginning of the day for sure, and then now when the futures are whippy a little bit here. But shout out to Randy for that whippy comment. Okay, 8:35. Oh, I did want to give a shout out to Arya Satam there. Yeah, good trade on Microsoft. Thanks for posting that in the chat there as well. And yeah, if you're still learning, this is a great spot to come. Ask questions, whatever you need. Neil, I, and Brendan, hopefully we'll be able to answer those as well. And shout out to Arun. Good job yesterday on the show for sure. Okay, CCL, these little purples, and again, we'll talk about that a little bit. Short sell arrow. There we go. A little description at the bottom. These purple arrows ticking down is indicating that we are selling the shares. So we are borrowing them, short selling them, and then buying them back at hopefully a lower price. So that's what all these blue arrows are. These are buys, so you can see that at the bottom. Again, so we go short, 35, 34, 27, 29. I'm just getting into this short here on CCL after a banger long. Now we short sell down to the side. As you can see here, futures continue to make their move down. We talked about breaking 2,500. It does that, but then it stops. It only goes down 4 or 5 handles. So this may be a good spot to look at some longs if you are thinking this market can bounce from here. And it looks like it may do it. It's still such a choppy day. I talked about XOM. I hope you guys also have that one. Geez, look at this short, guys. 41.33 goes all the way down to 40.30 there. Now making a move back up as oil's still up 5%.
And just have a look here at Luckin has bounced off of this little bottom. It didn't even get to 6 even, so it's put in a low, a little bit higher than what happened off the opening flush at 936. So now alert to that 650 area. I want to be shorting that if we can get it. Of course, 680 is my turnaround point. Probably worth looking at maybe 665, 670 if you want to be more aggressive. It turns back in. But I do believe our good friend Brendan has a little something for us. What do you got, buddy?
A little penny stock, guys. ONTX just noticed big bid, and then a big buyer stepped up and took out the offer on ONTX. So huge volume spike here, up 8% now, moved from 28 up to about 30 cents. If you like the penny stocks, ONTX one to look at, guys.
Oh yeah, about that XOM short, we go bang, bang, bang. We hit that XOM short again right now, and our average price is 65 right now. And there it is, a quick little 10-cent winner on XOM if you want it. And we'll see about that one coming through even more. You do not want to be a little pig with these kind of stocks. It's moving around a lot today. Do I think we get back down here? Yes, I do. So let's see what happens. We'll get some out here near the 50 mark, and then see what happens as we keep going downside on XOM. Look at this. We just talked about short sells. 1, 2, 3. That's how much we like it. I'm pounding this short down here on XOM. Let's see if it can't get going here. If the futures do fall, I do expect the same to happen with XOM. So let's put something on the bid here, guys, and see if we get out around 50. If that happens, and that'll be a banger for us right here. And boom, there it is. The bears are in, and XOM just keeps falling down, guys. Here we go again. Let's go.
This is why we take out that American Airlines short. You get that little break to the downside. It's an obvious key level break, massive size at 10 even. The future's trying to hold that 2400, but when it fails to go, if you're sitting there holding for a greedy, bigger move, you get that little bottom here at about 985 and it turns right around. So you take your scalp, and now I'm looking to see if we can hold that 10 even area. I'd love for us to test the bottom. I know, Jason, on the chat here, you're asking, should I go long already in AEL? For me, I'm not there yet. I want to see if we test the low. I feel much, much better about about it. However, the fact that we're holding 2,500, yeah, you want to look at some things that might be catching lows, might be catching bottoms. That's going to bring me to something like Twitter, which we did like off of the open just a little bit. And you're sort of seeing it continue to gravitate but slow down towards the low end of its range. Still positive on the day. 23 was yesterday's close, still up 1.5% or so. If we can hold this bottom, round it out a little bit, I think Twitter is going to be a good look on a re-entry to that long trade. So I'm looking to see any kind of consolidation. Make sure we hold that 25 on the ES, and we'll jump back into some Twitter. I want to also look at Occidental, which is back below that 13 even mark, and it's making a bit of a bottom. I'm still going to be short side on this until the trend breaks. If you look at the very, very clear downward trend, our last short, we shouldn't have taken that one off. I think we want to get back into 1350 if we can. It might not give you that price. We have to be short this one at 13 even because that's all you can get.
We're really lucky to have Sean Shirzadi coming through from Flemington Food Bank. He means a lot to us here at Trader TV. He's a friend of the family, also watchfinder.ca. That's going to be a big spot for us. We're excited to have him on, especially in this time of need right now. People locked down. I don't need to tell everybody that. And without unemployment, we saw that today. It's pretty bad, and some of the federal funding and whatnot not coming through to a lot of people for the next couple weeks, anyways. So it's very important to us to talk about Food Bank. And our favorite is coming down, Flemington Food Bank, with Sean Shirzadi coming through in about a couple minutes. So stay tuned for that. Should be interesting. If you have a charitable heart, pay attention to this, and we'll talk about how you guys can also donate to that cause as well. But for right now, I'm still stuck. I'm not stuck. We've taken out XOM twice down here for a nice little win. So we hit the confetti on that one. And here we go, XOM, maybe to the downside even more. We're still short at 61. Obviously, we took that out at 50, some 48, some 50s. We'll wait to see if we can't address a bottom here of 40.35. If that cracks, then yeah, obviously I do think XOM's heading to the south side here, but we'll wait to see. Now it's a 20 penny winner, so we'll floss it off on XOM. Just continues to come downside. Here we go, guys. We go bearish. And you know what? The oil industry, I hate to say this, guys, but right now, heading up in smoke. We're still up 4%, but it's been a rough ride. XOM up huge yesterday, giving everything back today, and we are short this one right now, guys. 40.60. Here we go. Nice little move to the downside in XOM.
And rolling over once again is going to be Luckin Coffee. So I'm going to jump into this one. I wanted to wait on this a little bit towards that 640, 650 range, but you can see there was that push, and we took some shares out in our initial short trade at that 640 mark because it was the bottom end of the consolidation range. Now as it works its way back up, you can maybe use that one to short in front. So as we try to retest this 6 even bottom, I'm going to jump into a bit of a scalp short, and we're going to play these tighter ranges on something like a Luckin and take advantage of 38 million shares in volume. You can start taking 5, 10, 15 cent wins if you can. Certainly, I'm also looking at Oxy at that $13 mark. Keeps giving you wins if you work off of that level. Now, a couple of you guys have mentioned the same name to the long side, and I'm going to reiterate, no, I'm not looking at American Airlines long. You got to let the trend break. You want to see it retest the bottom. This is exactly what it did. If you jumped the gun there when it broke back above 10 even without seeing that retest, you're now sitting out of the money 20, 30 pennies, wondering what the heck to do. Allow it to make a low. Twitter's trying to make a bit of a base. I like that a heck of a lot better. If it can do that, then maybe you jump into a long. But please, let American make a bottom before you take a shot at it. It is time for our guest of the day. Sean did a fantastic job of letting you guys know why it's so important to us. Let's throw it to Brendan for our second guest of the day.
Hey guys, really happy to have Sean Shirzadi from watchfinder.ca back with us, and more importantly today, important conversation to have about food banks, Flemington Food Bank in particular. Good to have you back on the show, Sean. Obviously, Sean joining us remotely today as everyone continues with their social distancing. Sean, we haven't spoken in a while, so I hope you're well, and I hope all of your loved ones are well at this point as well.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me back on here.
It's an important conversation, I think, to have, Sean, in regards to, in trying times, you got to think about the people who are most in need, in addition to, yourselves, obviously. But tell us a little bit about how things are going so far with Flemington Food Bank.
So the food bank, we're cut down our hours down to 2 days a week, and we're serving same amount of people that we were serving 5 days a week down to 2 days a week now. We actually have added between 10 to 15% to our intake now. A lot of people are coming through. Usually what we do, we take in people with, we have a software that it works with all the other food banks to see if these clients have been somewhere else. Now we have stopped that. We're just taking in people as they come. It's getting really scary out there. I was there on Wednesday. I had to buy lots of masks for all the people that are coming there, a lot of hand sanitizers. Again, remember, these guys don't have enough money just to buy food, so personal protection is not going to be the first thing on their list. So this is where we come in. We had a big donor that donated money. We bought 5,000 masks. I bought 300 bottles of hand sanitizers. We bought hand soaps. So the fight keeps going on. We have run out of oil. We have run out of rice. So my job is next couple of days is try to find wholesale some rice and some oil, cooking oil. Easiest thing in the world, but you'd be surprised how many people go without it. And any help that we can get from your viewers, that would be greatly appreciated. I can at the end of the show, I'll tell you how you can help us or any other food bank in your area. It doesn't have to be us. Daily Bread Food Bank is our mothership. Second Harvest, all those guys, they're all doing the exact same thing, and they're all looking for donations right now.
It's obviously a very trying time for a lot of people. We mentioned, the unemployment number out in the U.S. today. Canada's equally bad. Talk a little bit about, Sean, you mentioned, you're serving still the same amount of people as you would, open your normal hours in significantly reduced hours. Talk a little bit about maybe, is it a different crowd? Is it, the same crowd, more or less?
It's the same crowd. Plus, we have like on Monday we took in 7 new families in. They were from Mexico, so I'm not sure how that ended up. I wasn't there. I usually, when I'm there, I ask questions. Why are you here? How can we help you? How can we help you get a job to move on? But in these crazy times right now, it doesn't look like this is going to end anytime soon. And for the people that were using our food bank, it's getting worse, and I think it's going to get worse from here.
So as far as needs, Sean, you mentioned a number of them there. Let's talk a little bit about the safety aspect of this first. I was at a grocery store a couple of days ago, even Costco last weekend. They were limiting the number of people that were being allowed in the store. Are there any restrictions as far as how you are operating at this point?
So I'm very big on that. That's why I went there Wednesday and I bought a mask and hand sanitizers. But we try to, we have somebody stationed at the front door where he gives them some hand sanitizers, make sure they have a mask on when they come into the facility. We're working with our landlord now to see if we can put a tent outside for the 2 days that we're open. So they'll just come through the outside. If they're using public transport or their own car, they can just pick up their stuff and go rather than coming into the building. It's I had to cut down on all my volunteers as well because I didn't want so many people in there at one time. It's just very challenging times for us right now. So we have I put a process in place how to handle food when contact with people from the outside. We're doing the best that we can, but the food bank people, just like Costco and Metro, whoever works at delivering food to everybody, we're all frontline people right now. So it's very scary. And you could do the best that you can, but this stuff stays airborne for days. Sometimes when you get busy, when you got 300-400 people coming through, you forget to wash your hands every 15 minutes. So I was trying to implement a timer every 15 minutes for everybody just to go back and wash their hands every 15 minutes because people forget to do that.
Yeah, it's obviously a very stressful time, stressful situation. For anyone watching who is in the Greater Toronto area, why don't you tell everyone where the food bank is located if they want to, even come down and donate their time, if nothing else?
Right now we're down to minimum with volunteers, but when we get back on regular schedule, I always promote bringing your kids to the food bank. The easiest way to tell you where the food bank is where the science center is. We're on the other side of the street. It's one of the hardest poverty-ridden addresses. Flemington Park, I think a lot of people know it as Flemo. I always tell people, before you donate, come down, come and see what we do, come and give us a hand. We're open 5 days a week. We're usually busy from 12 o'clock till about 3 o'clock. Come see, bring your kids. We get the kids to stock the shelves and things like that. But for right now, volunteers is not going to be necessary for us. But what you can do is look around your house. I always look in your backyard. There's always some elderly people that need food or need delivery or need you to go to grocery store, or next time you cook a little bit extra and deliver it to their door, put it outside for them and give them a call and say, look, I was thinking of you. And do as much as you can in your own space. Doesn't necessarily have to be with us. Just remember that these are the times that humanity comes through.
Definitely, great points. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about how people can get in touch with you, Sean, if they're not in the Greater Toronto area and want to reach out and lend a hand any way possible. You mentioned it earlier, but why don't you tell everyone how to get in touch with you if they're outside of the GTA here?
So we have Instagram and we have a website. Our website is fcfoodbank.com. There's a donate button on top. You'll get a tax receipt. If you like to send food, if you can get food at a wholesale level, it's greatly appreciated. Give us a call. You can text me personally, DM me on all the Instagram accounts. I answer them personally. FC Food Bank is our Instagram handle. You'll see a lot of pictures, a lot of things that we do. We work with Toys R Us. We work with the NHL. We're here to stay, and this is not getting better. This is going to get worse before it gets better. So any help you guys can do, if it's monetary, if it's food, if you guys can find, let's say, rice wholesale and buy us 100 kilos of rice, that would be great. We even have drivers that'll come out and pick it up from you. So any help you can do, we'll really appreciate it.
You mentioned obviously rice there, and you said cooking oil a little bit earlier. Is there anything else that you want to mention as far as what is needed?
Those are probably the necessity: eggs, the usual basic food, any fruits, fresh fruits, things like that. But they go bad, and we have an issue with storage in our food bank because we're only 2,000 square feet. So fresh vegetables go bad really quick. So we need to get them in there quick and have them handed out. So
non-perishables.
Anything you can do.
Yeah, non-perishables obviously the best bet. Yeah, great stuff.
Right.
Sean Shirzadi from the Flemington Food Bank and watchfinder.ca. Always a pleasure, Sean. Best of luck. I mean, stay well. It's trying times, to say the least.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
There we go, guys. Sean Shirzadi from the Flemington Food Bank. I mean, if there's anything that anyone can do, even if it's just a little small donation, please find Sean online. He mentioned a number of ways there to get in touch. Got to think of everyone in these times, not only obviously staying safe and staying healthy ourselves. Let's go back to the guys.
Yeah, great little segment there. Thank you so much, Brendan. But support the food bank. We do hope. I mean, I know he said it's going to get worse before it gets better. Unfortunately, that looks like that's going to be true. But while you've been gone, and I hate to celebrate because as the market goes down, it's tough for people out there. But look at this trade on XOM. This is the home run here. Today, this could be the trades of the day as well. Neil will be coming up with that at 11. But look at this initial short on XOM. 41.35. Cover, right? Then look at this. This is when I was telling you guys, I was pounding the pavement here. Short, 3 shorts, bang, bang, bang. Then it falls, and we just let it fall all the way down before getting out at 39.51 for $1.08 winner right there. That's a big time trade. Look at CCL. Look at these shorts, guys. This was right before we left as well. Bang that out. Our best out, 806. We just take some more at 808. So that's a huge winner. And then LK. We go short LK there. Unfortunately, I ran and grabbed a coffee. That turned out to be a mistake because that was a 40-cent winner. But right here, LK goes down in the money. We get some out of the 90s. Now let's see what happens if we get back above probably this area right here. 630 we'll get out. But what a day. My day has been a monster. There's a couple home runs. You guys don't need to know that though. If you've been watching, some of the trades today has been pretty huge. Follow us on Twitter as well. I'm tweeting out some of these charts, guys.
Yeah, that Luckin, as you mentioned there, Sean, was very, very scalpable when it broke that low. I took several shorts, but getting them all out on the way down. And then the last one we just tried here, when it took 6 even, we're going to get out again. So you can do it lots of ways. You can be hanging on to this short. We basically tried to work this one from that break at 680 and when it retested it. But if we made a bottom, I don't want to say that it has happened. You just have to watch out and notice the fact that it's a very, very clear trend to the downside. And like with American Airlines, you don't want to jump into longs and anything bottom picking. You just get into a world of hurt when you do that. The market's down 1%. We couldn't hold 2,500. You have several names which are just cratering here. Carnival, which we've been shorting. Oxy, which is another one. Luckin is been doing it as well. And lastly, Boeing here, guys. Boeing continues to head southbound. It's almost... we briefly were negative on the session here when it broke through 123 even. It's now bounced back above that price, but look at this nice little clean trend. It never gave the retest to 127 that I would have liked for the short trade to re-entry, but we've got 1 for 1 now looking for a pullback into VWAP to try to short this name here. So lots of names to the south side. Not too much that I like long, and I mentioned a little bit about Twitter. If it made a bit of a base, it bounced one time off 23.20. It's now fading back into this range. If we can hold that bottom, this could be a name that which is relatively strong. It was up 5%. Positive news. Maybe we'll look to see if we can hold this bottom. That could be a long play, but it doesn't even want to do that. Now let's jump to Brendan Wickens as I see a lot of red on that sector watch board.
Yeah, indeed. Unfortunately, back to the downside. Here we go, guys. We'll have a look at the S&P 500, down now 1.2%. When last we spoke, about 30 minutes ago, dead flat for the market, so full percent to the downside in 30 minutes. Want to point out the industrial group here. First and foremost, ARNC standing out in RTN. ARNC up 8 and change percent on the day. Everything else pretty much in this group very red, including FedEx. They came out and withdrew their 2020 forecast today. So FedEx, not a lot of volume on FDX today, but it is kind of trending to the downside. URI then, FBHS, TDG, and JCI all down 3+% on the day, leading that industrials group lower. Consumer discretionary stocks back in negative territory as well. Going to find all of the airlines in this group. I'll get there. Just bear with me. It's a busy day. UAA, RL leading the way to the downside there, 7.25%. MGM, RCL, and CCL was in this group as well. Looks like it's disappeared, but yeah, cruise lines back to the downside now. Also, LVS and Wynn, also their CCL still up 1.9%. The rest of the cruise lines, though, in negative territory. JWN, AAP, and TJX. Some of the retailers also getting hurt today, moving lower. So consumer discretionary stocks leading this market to the downside at the moment. I mentioned the industrials group. We'll swing back over to this side, talk about healthcare stocks. UNH, DVA, and MCK all 3.5% to the downside. Healthcare, the sector though itself is actually break even because of these guys. A lot of the pharmaceutical names, including Pfizer. I apologize, don't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned Pfizer in the chat earlier. Constellation Brands way over there in the staples group. That's lower on the day, about 4% to the downside. They reported earnings. Energy stocks are break even, guys. COG, the only one kind of offsetting an otherwise negative move here, 3.3%. But look at HP, FTI, and MPC, all down about 5 or more percent on the day. Communication stocks and utilities, the other laggards today, overall dragging the market down about a full percent here. Negative way now to wrap up the week. Unfortunately, guys, back over to you.
Unfortunately, a little bit of a negative week here.
Short.
Needless to say, that one. Pfizer, come on, Pfizer. Let's load up that chart here. Thanks for bringing that name up. I think it was Kevin on the chat there. So good luck on that one, Kevin. Nice little move to the straight to the upside here on Pfizer. And I'm looking at this break here, 33.55. If we can get that going, we will take a long in Pfizer. But just to review, I know George has this short, maybe reversing long XOM. What? Like, I changed this one. There we go. Yeah, good little reverse long if you did have it. We're out, basically. I still have a small position right now left in XOM, but I still think we can break lower here as oil kind of hovering around. Let's check back in oil. CL in our system, K20 and M. We're still up that 5%. Yeah, there it goes, 5.33%. Now pulling back down just a little bit more here on oil, so we'll see if that one can get going. But XOM, yeah, you might be right. We maybe dump this one if it gets back above 40. You guys know I'd like those key levels. And if we get back above 40, then whatever, it'll still be a 60 penny winner. Okay, there goes Pfizer, Neil, breaking through that 55. We're long 56. Right away, a nice little 4 or 5 penny winner. Let's see if we can't run to the upside here on Pfizer. 5, 6, 7
John,
pennies.
speaking of breaking upside, I'm looking at Carnival Cruise. Made a bottom here, put in the chat there, 805 to 820 or so. If we break that one to the upside, I'm going to take the long on the break. We can then use the low of the day as you're out. I'm definitely reversing short on that little bottom. We talked talked about that 8 even area. Greg was talking about it as well, the issue price there. So as we watch the ES try to make a low here, maybe 24.85 or so, 10 handles off that bottom before we had that jobs report bounce. By bad news, of course they do. So Carnival, for the first time, could be making a bit of a move to the upside since that little run at the open. We like it in either direction. I'm going to play volatility as it comes. 40 million shares means you don't have to be married to a position. We talked about some stocks that could bounce here. Looking for that 820 here in Carnival Cruise. Also watching Luckin very, very closely as we're back to that 6 even area. If we can't break through and make a bit of a run to the upside, you could see another flush in Luckin here. So watch out right at this 6 even area. 45 million shares it's done. So we're not going to get too far away from Carnival, from Luckin. I'm also looking at Boeing back up at 125. If we want to get to that price, I might short that one again as well. So Luckin, Carnival about to tick me in on an 820 long.
Yeah, we're still short 830 there. We are covering our Luckin there. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem. Or sorry, our CCL. Here goes XOM. We are going to get out of this one if it does break a little bit above 40. So that'll be an out. And there we go. Nice little 60 penny winner right there. So we'll dance that one off. I hope you guys have that with me as well. Right now, guys, only a couple positions on. I can't show my board because it's still showing me with XOM. But right here, we are going up, up, up and away, guys. Hit that like button if you like what we're doing so far. Look at Pfizer. We just take that. Thank you to Brendan there. So we can floss it off. I need to have a Brendan flossing guy there. But Pfizer through 55 there. Out at 64 is our best out. We'll wait to hold that. Still got half of Pfizer on. So this, yesterday we were talking about Tiger King. And if those of you who haven't seen that, definitely check that out on Netflix. And we'll go over to Netflix right here because that's, again, Ozark. We watched another episode last night. Decent. And here's why, guys. 364, if we break above 364, it's made a little consolidation down here. If these futures want to break back above 2,500, watch out for a 364 long here in Netflix. LK, we're still holding that, guys. We're short right now, LK. 603, we haven't done anything to this one. We're going to wait till it gets back above 620, put some bids down here in the low 80s and see if we can't get that picked up. But right now, Luckin, we're short Carnival Cruise Lines at 30, and here this one goes back up, and we're long Pfizer, as you guys know, at 55. So right here, it's just been a bang-up day for us as we continue to hit home runs for you guys live on the show. Tell your friends. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe.
Yeah, 100% there. You can co-sign everything you said there. It's been a fantastic morning. Brendan mentioning in the chat here about Under Armour. Fresh lows. I just had a quick look at the daily. Below that 760 mark, which was key. Big flush out when it took this out just about 30 minutes or so ago. But it's made a double bottom here at 740. It's now trying to break out of this range. Very similar to Carnival at that 805 to 820. You're looking at about 738 to 753. So double barrel action for me. I'll break to the long side if Under Armour wants to come up with a relatively tight stop, but I like that low being taken as well. So I like both those. Going to throw stops for Under Armour at the low and the top end there of that range. Brennan, thanks for the shout out. Let's throw to you.
Yeah, another pharmaceutical name here, guys. Fate on the NASDAQ, still up about 9% on the day. Was obviously significantly more at one point, coming back to the downside. They announced this morning they're teaming up with a unit of J&J to develop cancer treatment. So Fate getting some attention today. All kinds of volume in this name as well, guys.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin there. I'm pretty sure if it was you, Kevin, I'll shout you out right now on the chat. Thanks for this trade. Brendan brought it to our attention, but I know that you were talking about Pfizer before, and here we go, guys. Look, sometimes it is just this easy. We take a disco ball run there, and yeah, another out right there for a 20 penny winner right now. Doesn't seem like a lot, but like I said, guys, this is what we're doing. We're scalping right now. I'm at the highest point I have ever been today with my net, so let's just keep that rolling. And right here comes Luckin, guys. 20 cents in the money. Let's see if we can't hit this. I'm bidding 83s now, and booyaka, there it goes. Again, catapult. Whoa, boom, there it is. Nice little trade here on Luckin Coffin. That's what it should be, down in the coffin. We'll see if we can't experience a $4 move again today, all the way top to bottom. We were as high as 740 now. We're down to 580. That's almost $2 down. Let's see if we can't test $5 even. What a great short we have on right now on this name. We did also reload up on CCL, so we got reloaded there at 24, and now we're back down to 20. So look, guys, everything working our way here as we go. So turn that frown upside down on a Friday. The market's down 1%, but if you're scalping with me, baby, then it's all ideas and money flowing today, guys. Good luck and good luck going forward, guys.
Yeah, I hope you guys aren't smiling on any Boeing trades here, because you should only be going in the short trade, working this trend that we're seeing. I talked about 125. I'll dip back into this one with a tight stop here. If we break 125 even, we'll reassess that one around 127, but I want to see if we can get a shot. And of course, as I say it, we immediately turn around on that one, so we'll flush that quickly down the toilet and move over to Occidental. Oxy, we're going to keep reloading this one, and we talked about this with American Airlines. Until the trend breaks, you got to just keep going one direction, and that one direction has been to the south side. It just popped up to 85, giving you an entry point there, so you can continue to work this short, which is what we're exactly going to be doing. Carnival, which has bounced and made a bit of a break at 820. We did go into the long at 822 there. I talked about that range, 805 to 820. We did grab the long through, so one long, one short, and Brendan Wickens for Money Talks.
All right, guys, let's have a look at the currency markets. We'll check out a few things here. Some interesting moves so far in currencies. Obviously, the U.S. dollar to the downside today because of the jobs number. We have the pound I want to start with here. I haven't talked about the pound, focused on the pound anyways for a while, and I'll show you why here. A little tight consolidation forming between 123 on the bottom, kind of 124 and a half. To the top. This thing's been in this consolidation for a better part of 2 weeks now. So finally today, breaking to the downside for the pound, down 1.25% on the day. They had final Q1 PMI data out in the UK that was much worse than expected. So negative look here for the pound today, back to 122.4 for the British pound. But as I mentioned, with the jobs number in the US, kind of everything else versus the US dollar moving higher today, including the Canadian dollar was higher than this, but pulling back a bit here with crude oil prices, also lifting the CAD back above at 1.71 cents. We're back to about 70.8. The euro is lower on the day, 0.6%, about 107 and change. We did get above 108, but pulling back as well. Everything else pretty muted. Japanese yen, Swiss franc are higher again 3 days in a row, I want to say, especially for the yen, back to the upside, approaching that 109 number we saw about a month and a half ago on that one. Australia and New Zealand, both in negative territory significantly. They had some numbers out overnight that were a little bit lower than expected, so negative look for those. 58.5, 59 and change here, almost 60 cents. Once again, back below 60 cents for the Australian dollar. Cryptos have been pretty quiet over the past couple of days. Not much going on in crypto land again today. Bitcoin and Ethereum, though, both marginally higher to wrap up the week. Guys, back over to you.
Yeah, marginally higher, not happening over in Occidental. You keep talking about working into this short. We just jumped back in the mid 80s there. We took a quick scalp out, and then we're going to hang on to the rest, see if we can't retest the low. You're just about shorting pops here. Like, you get a bit of a move to the upside, watch for consolidation, jump back in, play the trend. Just like I said in American Airlines, it's not that you can't ever long one of these, but you want to make sure you got a solid bottom, a higher low that's put in. Hasn't happened yet. We're going to continue to work this short. Now in the money, 20 cents on Occidental one more time. And I want to jump over to Microsoft for a second here. Just noticed a bit of a level, of course, as the futures dipped off a little bit. We're going to retest this. 156.30. We just got to that by the tick. You can see on the way down, that was a bit of a turnaround point. So I now have a stop. If this market rebounds, it's a 156.30 long in Microsoft that's going to jump me in. We're holding the bottom end of this range. We're not really making fresh lows in the overall market. So you want to have a name or two to the long side. It's going to be that softy Microsoft for me. But we continue to run this Oxy into the ground here as, once again, if it breaks this low, fair enough, but I'll probably be out in front of it. That's what you do when you're scalping. I'm looking to short pops. I'm looking to scalp in and out. It's done 28 million shares. The volume is tremendous on all of these names. Tesla's done 10, Oxy's done 28, and CCL done 42. Still looking to work that one. Luckin, whoa, 568. There's no levels on that. Short every single pop. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and I was just going to hit it right here, and yours truly has been punching this in the face for a second straight day. We are still short. Look at all these outs. Bang, 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 bang. Told you we would hold that all the way down here into the 60s. We just do exactly that, and we actually get some out at 70. So I lied. I didn't get that very bottom 62 there. Let's see if that can keep coming through. But Luck and Coffee, what a banger right there. Big time winner for us. We did get out of more than half, 2/3 of our Pfizer trade all the way up here. That's been pretty good. We'll wait to see if it can break down before VWAP. So booming on that one as well. Guys, look, we're we're doing great here. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Thank you to Sean coming through for the food bank. Big shout outs there. Kiro from BCS America. We had Kevin O'Leary on a couple days ago. We have Chris Vermillion from Technical Traders coming up right now, very soon at 11:40. We have our trade of the day coming up, where Neil will be going over some of his trades. You can see, follow me on Twitter. I've tweeted everything today, but CCL's been huge, Luckin Coffee's been huge, Microsoft's been huge, and XOM's been huge. No losers today for me, so hopefully that can keep going, guys. Knock on wood. Where is that knock on wood? There it is. But we are ready for Brendan as we, knock on that wood. Hey, what's going on, Wood? Throw it over to Brendan. What's up?
Lulu, guys, if you're looking for something a little bit relatively weak, Lululemon moving back to the downside today. Had a strong close yesterday, but down 2%. They announced this morning they're extending store closures going into May now in this country. Guys.
Good look there. I was actually having a quick look at Zoom, believe it or not, here. Zoom made a 120 bottom and bounced hard off its $3 here. So it touches that even dollar area, zooms back into positive territory on the session. So I talked about Softy at 156.30. I'm going to talk about 123 here on a Zoom. If it holds positive territory, you take that long break. You're going to look at yesterday's close at 121.93 or this level right here, 121.80 or so, and that's going to be your risk. You're risking about $1.50 when it comes to slippage, but if we break it, get back to 2,500 on the ES, you're talking about at least getting to 125 past VWAP. So that's at least 2 to 1. Maybe if you get to the top end of that opening end range, that's 127. So lots of opportunity on a bounce back in Zoom. You have to have these plays. We've been shorting over in Luckin and Carnival and all these, and Oxy to the downside, making these plays on the trend. But if we come back north, you want to have your plays to the upside, whether it's going to be Softy there, maybe Zoom through a 123 break like we just mentioned. So those are my 2 longs. I did take that 1 long, which we're sitting in on Carnival. It has not continued to break down. It made that low at 805. I talked about 805 to 820. We grabbed the 820, scalped some out when it got up to about 827, 828. Now maybe looking to see if we can't reload in, as it's made a bit of a bottom here. So I have a hard stop at 805. I think we can start thinking about loading in more at 815 or so. For the first time, Carnival looking relatively strong on a bit of a bottom bounce. So I'm going to add to that one. I have my break ready to go in Microsoft. Got my break ready to go in Zoom as well.
Okay, sorry there. I thought we were throwing over to Valeria, but when we are ready, she will be over at the big board. We only have a couple more minutes left. It is European, not close time, European update time. As I look, guys, what a great day it's been today, and it's only going to get better. It is a Friday. Stay safe, be well, and let's throw it over to Valeria at the big board, guys. Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome to the European update. Well, Europe mostly in a negative territory and indices keep falling down. Though Spain up just 0.38% and Russia is up 1.18%. Britain is down 1.2%. France is down 1.37% and Italy is down 1.86%. Well, some quick news from European stocks. Daimler announced that it signed a 12 billion euro credit to increase its financial flexibility during the crisis. International Airlines Group announced it will operate at just 10% capacity in April and May. That's all for now, and I'll keep you updated. Back to Brandon.
Hey guys, 11 o'clock. Let's get into trade of the day. This is the segment where we go back over one of the trades that either Neil or Sean took off of the open this morning or somewhere in the first kind of 30 to 40 minutes of the trading session. If you joined us at the open this morning or even before that at 9 o'clock, we talked about a whole bunch of stocks that were moving around in the pre-market, touched a little bit on the why, some of the news related to it. Boeing was definitely one of those. They had a big order that was canceled, or they removed some planes from an order from a leasing company, and there was also something to do with the government. They had to change an order that was going to the government for a cargo plane, I believe it was. But yeah, Boeing moving around today. Neil's all set to go over at the TV. Let's go to him.
Thanks a lot there, Brennan. So, I was off yesterday. Arun stepped in for me. I want to make sure I track what the market is doing. If you're going to trade any of these names, you want to see what the price action was if you did miss out trading live. So the first thing we did with Boeing, it was go to a higher time frame. And when I went to the daily chart, I noticed a nice 129 top. It broke through that price in the afternoon yesterday, and then it was a nice little level to work off of. So we come in today moving upside, and we're up 3% still, having retraced a little bit. But that nice 128 level, 129 level, I wanted to see it test. If it tests that price or gets anywhere near to it and fails, I'm looking for a tracement short. I love those kind of rebound plays. It's not about picking tops and bottoms. If you have a level to work off of, you can take advantage. So the first thing I think about is what happens when we test anywhere near that 129, can't even get there. Market can't break through the highs. 128.50 is about that top. Once it tests it a couple times and comes back down, I'm thinking short entry. Now I want to make sure I have a relatively good price. You had an opening range break here at 127.70. That's where it failed. If I can get an average price around there, I love the risk to reward through the top. You're only risking at the high of the day about 80 cents to a buck. Otherwise, you're getting a VWAP retracement, which is going to give you, almost $1.50 before getting a bigger flush to the downside. So that's the structure I was working at. Let's see how we got into the trade and if we followed the plan. Having a quick look at Boeing, a name that we haven't touched yet. 129 was an interesting pivot in the afternoon yesterday, right about midday. You can see the flush through that price when it tried to break through. We just bounced up a $6 move top to bottom at the open and then failing at that same 129 level. So if we're going to be range bound in the futures, I feel like we can now think about playing a Boeing on a break of that price. So you talk about 129 even, but also think about shorting in front of it. So you go both directions, expose yourself to both, especially in the choppy market, if you can find a level that you like. And now that I found one in Boeing, we're going to jump into the short in front of 129. We're going to reverse to the long if we can get it. So 128-ish will work an average price in Boeing short and see if we can't run this one back to the downside. Yeah, that ish turns into 127.70 or so, as you can see here. And this is why you outline a plan. When the market gets choppy like this and there's no follow through to the upside on that play, this is where you want to pick some things to the short side. Have exposure both ways. And I know you can play those trends like we were doing in Carnival or Occidental or Luck and Coffee, but there's some other plays out there as well for you, and that's why we're jumping into this Boeing. So we talked about that structure. I leave myself some room. I know where my initial entry is going to be on the way down to make sure I don't miss that first break, but I don't take everything at that price. The reason why I want to take only a little bit is so that I can get my actual average price closer to that 127.70, that 128, and then have the risk to reward as we set out.
You have to go back to a higher time frame to find the levels that we're looking at on these types of stocks. When you get to Boeing or any of the higher higher price stocks, it's going to be an area, not necessarily one line in the sand kind of level. So when you hear Neil say something like 179-ish or 175-ish, it's because we're looking at an area that's bounded by 20, 40, even 50 cents instead of one line in the sand. As people try to drill in even closer to reduce risk, have to be willing to kind of expand your horizons a bit and give it a little bit of wiggle room. But a good point there from Neil. Let's go to the next clip.
I want to slide you over to this trade because we're now going to work into a bit of a Boeing play in either direction. You're going to take this top end range here, and yes, 128.60 is the high of the session so far. When you go back to yesterday, it's more 129. That's going to be the key price for me. So I only have the one entry. Tried to catch some here on the way back in at 128. Unable to do so. I will still leave this order in. I want to get more shares into this short, and I want to be exposed to that reversal long if we can get it. I talk about always trying to get in on the way down. So what you can see here is when I get the first entry point, it then slides up and wants to retest. So I allow myself the opportunity for exactly what I want to be it fail lower than that 128.50, which it does, and then immediately cross in and try to get it on the way down. Now, there's enough liquidity, Boeing's in play, and this is what happens in these active markets. Even if you miss this on the way in, there's so much volume and liquidity, there's a good chance you leave your order, you'll get the price that you want instead of just chasing it further down. It'll save you 40, 50 pennies sometimes. You just want to make sure you do it. But you gotta have some exposure. If I had no shares involved here on our initial entry, I'm probably gonna be a little bit more aggressive and not miss out on that gigantic flush. So if you have no shares on, yeah, you might wanna get a bit more picky and cross in, get a little more aggressive on the way chasing it. When I'm already into this trade, I'm gonna be a little bit more patient and make sure I get the entry that I want on that secondary price.
Yeah, obviously a lot of or different ways to approach an idea like that. If you're working a short in front of a significant level and then waiting for the flush to the downside, it becomes a little more difficult to add when we do get the break. But is there a spot, Neil, where we might have added to this on the break of that consolidation or on the break to the downside, or was the thought kind of waiting for another pullback to kind of work into more shares?
I'll be honest with you, like if I was going to maybe add to it a third time, it certainly would have been if we had tried here to flush down to our original entry price, and it's going to be right between, sort of right between VWAP and that 127.70 that we have. If we had failed there, made another bounce, and then consolidated even lower again, that was probably going to be my third entry. That's the way I would like to have done it. Certainly, I'm going to look back, and this is entirely hindsight, of course. Yeah, it seems like we should have taken this break here at 127, but at the time, it didn't necessarily feel like that was the best entry point. At that point, I'm thinking, okay, got my nice price. I'm thinking VWAP for some of our trade out. If we got a retest higher at 128, that would have been a good entry as well. But it's all hindsight looking at it that way. Certainly it's worth considering. I'm going to do that in my analysis when I go over all my trades tonight to see if I could have done a little bit better with a third entry point and actually got in.
Interesting how it ends up holding the kind of bottom end of the range of the pre-market. Great stuff. Nice trending move back to the downside. But it's interesting to see that thing even back within the range that it set early on. Let's go to the next clip.
A quick look here, but we got half out on Boeing for $1 move. We got our second load was at 128. I'm looking for us to retest this 125 mark. That was the opening price. If we can get it, we'll be happy with that $2.50 or maybe $3 win on the second half of our shares. So here's a few things. When you have that VWAP retracement, which is exactly what we're looking for in the trade, we're going to get it, and it's going to flush through in our secondary target, as I mentioned, the 125 open price. Once that happens for you, you always want to make that quick switch. And as this is happening, look, we're trading a lot of names here. We're looking at Luckin, we're in Carnival Cruise, I was trading some Tesla. You're all over the place. Now, if you're laser focused on a name like this, once it breaks into this range here, this was that opening level top, right at about 126.50 or so, right in around what is now going to be VWAP. When it breaks this and you get out, you should be thinking if it retests this and fails, jump back in the same way we did up here. Of course, I'm a little bit distracted in some other names. Celebrating a win, you're happy with it. You get away from this 10 or 15 minutes later, but you've got to be able to look at this and say, hey, if that was a good exit for that reason, maybe it's a good entry. Right back in here at 126. We do not get that trade. I'm going to be sitting here regretting it. That's the second leg that you're looking for. When you're scalping, that means getting in and out actively instead of holding it for the entire day or maybe a week or even just half the session. You've got to make sure you play those trends with your re-entry points. And that's watching retests of those key levels, and then as it slides back down on a failure, do the same thing you did at your first level at the second level. You're able to take both ends of this trade. So as much as I'm happy to grab a buck, grab a couple of bucks on the second half, almost $3 there. It's a great return, but there is that other trade using the same levels you've already identified, Brennan.
Having a look at, kind of consolidating here right at VWAP at this point, we're seeing a little bit of sellers come back into the overall market, so it might be a good spot to revisit Boeing one more time to the downside. Let's go to the last clip.
But whoa, nope, now we're flat. Why? We'll floss it off because Boeing just gave us 125.40 out in front of that opening price. 125, even bit of a pivot area. You can see right down here at the open, it made a bit of a base. It broke through that one. Consolidation at 125. So as I work that short off of the high in here, both at 127.20 and again here at 128. You got to have some targets. You had that VWAP out. You have the second out at that open price. So for me, if it wants to continue going, that's fantastic. When you're scalping a trade, ultimately you have to have some targets off that make sense with regards to your relative loss or where your risk parameters are going to be. That's a good one over there in Boeing. I'm going to show you why you want to make sure you catch all of those retracement shorts. If you have this one on just like you did up here off that 128.50 high and 129 from yesterday, you put this trade onto the south side, you catch this move to 123, then when it makes the next hump, and this is back at the 125 open, and you're taking it, it tries to test it one time, flushes back down. So this is the entry point we had on our last test of a short at about 124.20-ish. It's very similar to this entry here, and what should have been an entry in and around this 125.50. You have your out at 125 even, it ends up stopping us out. Yeah, you're going to look at here and say, oh, but you got wicked out, it comes back down. No, it tests this area and fails. You get the break back to the upside. If you do all of those trades, you've got the big win here for a couple of dollars, almost $3. You get the same thing on the second entry. You lose on the third, but you only risk about $1. Now, I'm going to risk about a third of my day there on Boeing, but it should have only been about 15%, 10, 15% if I had that trade in the middle. So this is why it's important when trend trading to get all of your entry points. And sometimes it does mean locking in and focusing on 1 or 2 stocks as opposed to playing 5, 6, 10, whatever it might be. Consolidating those names can be to your advantage on those trend trades, Brendan.
And also important to maintain your discipline and maintain your plan throughout the trade. So if your plan is to put on a scalp trade that's going to take 2, 3, 4 minutes to kind of play itself out, then don't worry about what happens after that. If you take your 50-cent win, your $1 win, and it moves $5 more in the money, who cares? That was the plan from the start. You controlled your risk. You took your profits accordingly, wherever they may be. And then whatever happens after that is out of your control. So there we go. Boeing, guys, your trade of the day for Friday. Still kind of chopping around that VWAP area. Let's go back to the guys.
All right. Yeah, good look. Thank you, Neil, for the trade of the day there. Great little look here. But look what I'm seeing right now. We go long. We reverse long on CCL here. And then there's a big seller.
Oh,
so
God.
He's following this down the full way here. So we will wait to see if he gets eliminated. Then we'll probably go longer. But we missed that long there. We punched long 26, missed it. But we are back to long side now on CCL. So that's hopefully going to be a decent winner for us as we cashed out of our short. And now, I was already out. So now we reverse long all the way up here, 831. I tried to punch that guy at 26 there, as you did see. Shout out to George. I know he's watching right now. I took this one, not because of you, but you did bring it to my attention. So that's a good one. Here's that VWAP that you're talking about. I do like it. I like it through the VWAP if the futures wanted to go. So I did take that long, breaking through 124. It's going to be a quick one, man, down to 123. If that breaks, we'll snap out of this one. But for right now, thinking that we can get maybe back up here 125 and change, but it's all going to depend on the market as we are still below 2,500. I like to think that the market will come back to these key levels, but if not, watch for a 24.84 break. That's only 4 handles away right now. And what we mean by a handle, of course, is like a full point here. From 24.90 to 24.89 would be 1 handle, and there's 4 ticks in between that right now. So the Zoom long is a little bit in trouble in our CCL long as this market looking to make new day lows here. And if that does happen, then yeah, you're going to get flushed out on a lot of your longs. This is kind of a tricky time to trade, guys. It's kind of in the middle of the, well, not kind of, it is in the middle of the day. I don't like it. So we don't put on a huge amount of risk now. We just try to scalp in and out a little bit. 40, 50 cents on a name like Zoom would be fantastic. So that's the same kind of hit that we'll take if that does come through. But CCL is still getting to the south side. Yeah,
Sean, I sat down here and you mentioned that size. I was long while doing the trade of the day, and we picked them up on the 820 break, adding back in this little flush when it made a range from 815 to 820. So we got ourselves a decent price at 819. I sit down here and see the size you're talking about, grab out of most of those shares there at 829 for the 10-cent scalp. I do still have some on here that I will probably use an 815 stop, make sure I still have that order in there, locked and loaded and ready to go on Carnival. So if it breaks this little range it's made here at 815 at the bottom, I'll get out of the trade. We're long here at 819. That's great. I'd like to see it break that 830 again if we can. I don't know that I'll take any scalps less than 10 cents. On Carnival on this trade, we're only risking 4 or 5, so I want to make sure we lock in at least 10. If we get a VWAP move, it'll be even bigger than that. We got triggered into our Microsoft long as well while we were gone. It's managed to hold its range, but it came very, very close. My stop was not quite a dollar lower, only risking about 70 pennies, which is not a lot on Microsoft. But with the market failing to make a push to the upside, as you mentioned, I don't want to get too dug in to any long trade right now.
Who likes their Luckin Coffee right now? Because we got a 60-cent winner right now on Luckin Coffee. We still are short, guys, at 603, and it's at 555 right now. We still got 40% of our position on. You know, this is the only trade we made here. We took a small risk here as the market opened. Actually, this is pre-market here. But now we're making new day lows. So once again, guys, let's just, where's the slap shot here? There it is. No hockey, but the slap shots still keep coming for me today as Luckin Coffee, a nice little 50+ penny winner right now staring us in the face. So some decent size here at 50 on Luckin, but we still are short, guys, right here at 6. You see that little tick. Let's see if we can break 550. I'll probably cover a little bit here, maybe 10% of the 40 that we have left, because again, maybe we bounce off 50 right now. So Luckin Coffee, a nice little 50-cent win, guys.
I'm going to be looking back over at that E-Core. That was obviously a fantastic trade for me. It could have been the trade of the day. We had it in a pre-market, but it's going to look like it wants to retest. It just got back up to 130 even, $1.30 even. 140 was the opening range top, so that's the real level that we're locked in on. That's going to be a breakout price. If it goes through there, we're going to go long, but I will take one shot shorting in front of it. So we're back into E-Core, 25 million in volume, already 1 for 1, hitting a big win on this one. We want to see if we can't take a second leg here. So going to work into position at about 130. Maybe get some up to 135, 138 or so. Reversal long at 140 on ECOR. It's up 73%, but the story's actually been the short coming back in most of the morning here.
Yeah, I see that note there from Brendan on the chat, guys. Make sure, look, if you guys are watching this on Facebook, we are much more active, guys, on YouTube. So hit us up there, move over to YouTube, and our chat is rocking and rolling there. Valeria, the chat maestra, you know, organizing that for you guys. Will be answering all the questions, as will me and Neil and Brendan. So if you guys want to post anything on there, hit us up. We did talk about following all of us on Twitter. We all have our Twitter handles. I've posted a few things already today as Tesla. Wow, back down to 487. Let's check this Tesla trade out right now. Yeah, we talked about 496 was the day's low hitting early there, but since then, man, we just went making its way all the way down. Look at 482. That's that bottom wick. I don't mind it. I mean, you're kind of in a little bit of a choppy zone now. Obviously, we go from 492 down to 484. I'd say you don't get excited. You know what? I don't like this at all. I mean, all of these moves up have just been faded. So here's one, bang, out. Here again, tried to get going, tried to get going, tried to get going. So most of these moves, guys, are about $3 or $4. So if you do like the long, take it from past experiences here as we look at Tesla. That one looks to be a little bit of a problem. Our Zoom, though, okay, 123.77. Still waiting for this market to pick itself back up, and if we do, we'll have a banger on for you. But right now, we're still holding this one. Not too fearful of it. If we do tick below 123-ish, we'll get out. But I do like that Zoom trade. And for some reason, man, I was short all day on Carnival. As you can see, bang, bang. We go long here, cash it, short, cash it, huge on the short. Then we decide, hey, look, we're going to take out this 432. We do, but it comes rifling right back down. So we've averaged into this one. We will get ready to drop it if it breaks below 815 right now, but we're dug in a little bit to that one. And LK, we just took off a nice little 50 cents right down here. It's not going to break 550. If it does, look out below and hit the sirens, because we still got this short at 603, guys.
Yeah, we're looking at the same thing in Carnival. I had that same long, and that 815 stop is sort of an obvious one that we're going to look at. I did just work into that E-Core position, so we did pick this one up. You know, right now our average price is sitting here at 130.5. Certainly when it did test 140 and come back in, you know, probably wanted to get a few more shares there at 35 and be able to have, you know, a 33 or 34 price, but it's fine. It is what it is. If it wants to roll over through the low, we can still catch a nice win. We would be in the money 4 or 5 pennies already, looking for a move into 120 and then catch 15 cents and over 10%. Now we're going to need that to break that 120 for the bigger trade. We got the structure in. I got to watch out for that Microsoft. It looks like it's going to break the low. The futures cannot seem to go up. I like this one as a long play back to the upside. It triggered in when we were doing trade of the day. Certainly could have canceled that order. It kind of goes 50-50 for me. If I cancel orders when I go to the trade of the day, a lot of times I'm sitting here wishing I had left them in. This time we could go the other direction. Our other trade that we have, of course, is going to be Under Armour. I talked about this one potentially breaking to the upside. when Brennan gave some news. It did give a break at that 750. We did go long. It failed to get to VWAP. It's basically holding flat. So I'm going to move my stop up on this one. We're going to stop out at 745, the bottom end of this range. But now that it's put in a different low at about 750, we'll go through that stop in there. So we got long in Under Armour at 55, 50 stop, tight stop, softy 156.20. If that can bounce here, fantastic. But the future has got to get back to 2,500. The short knee core already in the money for us. We talked about that one just now. And then Carnival, that reversal, 815 is our out. I know we have one more guest, and we've talked about it all morning long. Once we're ready, we're going to be going to Brennan for our third guest of the day. What a Friday it's been. I mean, loaded up with guests. We've had Kevin O'Leary this week. I mean, it was already awesome. Sean Shizarati with a fantastic cause. Think about others. Not everybody is lucky enough to sit here and trade the markets and do what you love. Others are sitting at home. Maybe they're in need. Do think about them and what you can do as well. That's what we try to do when we're giving back as well. Right, Sean?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we're giving back a lot. We're actually blessed that we get to be here to work, and we're kind of, our job, guys, and those of you that are traders, it's kind of recession proof as you go, because as the market keeps going, it gives us more and more opportunities to trade. So welcome to the show there. And LK, that's a cash register, tweeting that out as well. Follow me on Twitter, but you can see right now a 60-cent winner as we break down below. And here we go, guys. LK is the name, and shorting is the game today. Short 604. We wait. We get really patient for that one and bang it all the way down. Still holding 30% of this one as we are now near day's low. This just keeps getting better and better for me. And guess what? Zoom. Even though the market is zooming downside right now, you can see this. I mean, we're down near day's low. This name still holding up. I don't know if I should get out of this or not, but we're long right here at 124. You can see with this little percentage up here, with this little tick. So if the market gets going, guys, this could be a monster. I do like Zoom to the long side, but Brendan is ready for, once again, another big time guest. Let's go.
All right, guys. Yeah, thanks. Really happy to have Christopher Mulliam back with us from the technicaltraders.com to talk a little bit about the markets as we wrap up the week. Back in negative territory, interestingly, as we've been kind of seeing this market try to move higher throughout the morning, but continues to fail here. So obviously, big jobs number out this morning. We'll touch on that as well with Chris. There he is. Chris, good morning. First off, I mean, it's been another busy week. How are things?
Yeah. Good morning, Brendan. Yeah, it's another wild week, no doubt about it.
An interesting session so far today as well. Obviously, the big jobs number out this morning. I mean, I think everyone was expecting a huge number, regardless of the way it came. But the estimate was a little bit, short, I think, of what was the actual number. So they were expecting, obviously, 100,000, comes out much bigger than that, 700,000+. First off, how much do you pay attention to a number like that when you, approach the market on a day like today?
I don't follow too much to the economics. I mostly focus on the technicals of the charts, but I mean, you have to be really cautious trading when you've got big data coming out like that. And of course, it's going to cause some pretty wild market moves, usually as it rolls out through the day. And right now, I mean, we've got headline news coming out every few hours. There's something in the afternoon meetings at 2 o'clock. So really all the data coming out, economic news now, is something you got to watch, because it's really, we're looking at huge numbers, and they move the market. So I don't try to predict them by any means. I just know I don't want to be in some type of big position if you're short-term trading around some of that data.
Yeah, especially around this type of environment, a very headline-driven type of market. Volatility not as crazy this week. We've seen a little bit more orderly trade this week than the week before or even 2 weeks ago. Let's jump into some interesting charts here that you sent us. Crude oil, first off. I mean, a huge move to the downside. Obviously, we've talked about that on the show quite a bit. But tell us how you've been approaching oil this week and what you're seeing on the charts and maybe going forward.
Yeah, oil's been in that huge downtrend, and we're at a point now where it's down so far. We're starting to see volatility on the charts where it's trying to find a bottom. Yesterday, there was news coming out. China was starting to suck up inventory. The Saudis and Russia might ease off a little bit. It created this huge pop. Oil was already up about 10% yesterday, and then the news came out with Trump about the Saudis and Russia, and then the market jumped another 15%. And today it's up. It tagged the upper level that I drew on the chart there, which was 28 this morning. Since then, it's been pulling right back again today. I like oil in this range. The longer it trades in this blue box, the more potential power there is when it breaks out. So I'm really excited. I don't care which way it breaks. Once it does, though, we should see a really nice move in either direction. So I like to follow that. And I do feel as though we're going to see crude move to the upside simply because the leading indicators like the energy stocks, XLE sector, and even the Canadian dollar, which is very tied to crude oil prices and energy stocks, they're all showing bullish signs and outperforming crude. And that's a leading sign.
Yeah, biggest intraday move ever for crude oil yesterday, which was pretty impressive to witness. Maybe talk a little bit about your time frame that you're looking at, Chris. If you see, a move like that, 20+% on crude yesterday, is it something that you're kind of willing to jump in and try and catch a little bit of that move and then maybe hold for 2 or 3 days? Or are you looking still at that, overall picture and higher time frame?
Right now, for me, I'm swing trading, so I'm not trying to catch anything inside that blue box. That is a great day trading range. You get in beautiful, powerful moves in the day. What I'm looking for are simply breakouts of those ranges. So if we get a break to the upside and the market rallies, I want to jump right in and catch that move because I think there's a quick 10, 15, even more % upside. If it breaks to the downside as a swing trade, you jump on and you can play an inverse ETF on crude oil, which will rise in value as stocks fall or the commodity falls. So I'm looking for that breakout. When it happens, I think it's going to be quick. It'll be a 2 or 3 day move and then it's over. It's very powerful the way these markets are moving, and this type of breakout with the amount of short, especially if it's a break to the upside, there's so much short sellers in there that when they cover, it's going to create this massive short covering rally, and it could be much bigger than 10 or 15%. Yeah,
you mentioned kind of 2 or 3 days. Is that something that you would look at to the upside or either direction as far as the time frame goes?
Yeah, I'd be looking either direction. It's just going to be a really sharp, powerful move, and it'll only last a couple of days. That's it. Doesn't matter which way.
It's such a dramatic move, obviously off the highs from a month or so ago. In your opinion, we're obviously speculating here, but in your opinion, do we get a test of the lows that we put in, or is it something that needs to kind of digest first, maybe test lower and then get an eventual move higher?
I'd like to see crude oil go back down and test 19 again to the $20 range, maybe even go lower. I mean, there's potential that if it breaks down, we're going down to the $17 per barrel. To me, that would be a great opportunity. I think it would be a knee-jerk reaction, simply because the long-term chart zooming out several months, actually going back using a year-long chart, shows that 17 to 14 range could be very significant. And from there, we could put in a bottom that stays in for years. And so I like the idea of a double dip, but in reality, I just need a breakout and I need some follow through for a couple of days just to catch that trade. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not really going for the long-term kind of view.
Let's move over to how we can maybe put this trade on if people are watching along at home as well. You mentioned a lot of ETFs, some of the inverse ones moving higher if the price is going down. Let's have a look at the ETFs that we can maybe put a trade on and join you in this thought.
Yeah, so the ETF that I like for this is the energy sector stocks, which is the XLE. Carries a basket of energy companies, and more or less, I look at the energy sector stocks as a leading indicator. Much like gold miners typically lead the price of gold, the energy stocks do the same thing. So the energy stocks have had a nice rally. You can see on that chart, they've traded sideways for about a week. They're testing the highs now, and that is a much stronger performance than what crude oil is doing. Crude oil is still in that lower range at the bottom of the chart, whereas energy stocks have already popped and built this bull flag. So I'm looking for an upward extension, and the XLE ETF is a great way for anyone to be able to jump in and play that move.
Something that is closely then, kind of correlated with the oil markets and energy names in general. Obviously, our Canadian dollar kind of heavily tied to the oil markets. What are you seeing in the Canadian dollar at this point?
Yeah, the Canadian dollar, it's just completely tumbled. It's as a Canadian, to buy anything American now is extremely expensive. It was $1.45 exchange about a week ago. So, we're talking a huge move. And if you look at the chart there, the Canadian dollar has fallen just like crude oil, energy stocks. It has a relationship very similar to the energy stocks, though. It's had a nice rally in the last couple of weeks. It's formed that nice bull flag in that falling channel. And that pattern is showing signs that we should see a continuation move to the upside. So that is a bullish sign. I think, you can play the dollar to the upside, the energy sector ETF. I think both of those are really kind of pointing to crude oil is putting in a bottom. Maybe it dips down and hits that $20 level again on crude. But at this point, it looks like crude is put in a bottom, and we're just waiting for an upside break.
Chris, talk us through what we're looking at maybe on that chart, guys. If we can go back to that chart real quick at the bottom there. Talk us through some of the indicators you're looking at and how you approach the currency market. Right,
so that bottom indicator is the COT data. And I just pulled this chart off of FinViz. I don't really follow the COT data too much, to be honest. That's a lagging indicator. That's about 2 weeks. So this really isn't my chart. This is off FinViz, but I typically like to follow volume, price action, and then I try and find whatever asset class I'm looking at. There's usually some type of leading indicator for that asset. And for us, that's the energy sector stocks and the Canadian dollar here. So that COT data is really just the commitment of traders of positions of large cap traders and small cap traders and commercial hedges. And there's mixed reviews on how to read that. I don't really use that too much.
Obviously, energy sector-related ETFs, both traded in the U.S. and also here in Canada on the TSX. Are there any Canadian ETFs that you're having a look at this point?
I don't really follow the Canadian ETFs too much. I follow strictly in the U.S. equities at this point, just because the U.S. dollar is in a bull market. I'd rather have all my trading capital in the U.S. dollar than in the Canadian. There are ETFs that follow crude oil. The energy sector stocks, I don't remember the symbol. I think it's XEG or something like that. But all the signals and trades that I give out to our subscribers, there are the same ones in the Canadian TSX as well. And I share those. I have a list of them all. I just focus on the U.S. and the commodity futures for the real raw price. And then we can trade RIDEX or Canadian ETFs, whatever you want, off that data.
Yeah, and some of these names obviously giving you all kinds of opportunities this week. I mean, we're seeing these little teeny tiny energy names going crazy today, giving you 3, 4, 5% moves just intraday on these crazy moves in crude oil. Let's jump out to the overall market here. Chris, give us your thoughts on the S&P. A little bit of a consolidation, I guess, still. Which direction do you think we end up heading overall?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the SP 500 is building a bullish pattern, much like the energy sector stocks. It's had a nice bounce. It's been flagging sideways for a few days. The upside target, if we can get some traction here, this is a very similar trading pattern in terms of the direction, which is to the upside. And I think we've got a pretty good chance of it having a big rally. And of course, that would be the ideal setup. But I mean, no one really knows what's going to happen. That's why you have to just follow price. You've got to have really strict trading rules and position management, because you don't know which way it's going to go. But the chart right now is screaming that it wants to rally and pop. And you can see the upside target there on the SP 500. So I'm really hoping we're going to get up there. I think we're really close to getting long the SP 500 for a move, or any index for that matter. It could be TSX or the NASDAQ. But overall, the pattern is bullish. And we just need to see if we're going to do that double dip. At which point, if it starts to break down from here, I'm actually not really looking to get involved in the market. I'm going to wait for a different type of setup in terms of how to play it. Ideally, I'm looking for a break to the upside, and then from there, we'll be getting long the equities.
You mentioned a break to the downside here would kind of make you go hands off a little bit at the time being. What is it specifically you would need to see to kind of classify it to you as a break to the downside? Maybe that 2,400 level being broken once again?
Yeah, well, right now it's in a little bit of a sideways range the last week. If it breaks below those, I think we're going to instantly drop down to the lows we saw a couple weeks ago. The question is, do we bounce off that? And if we start to pierce through that and sell off, and we see bonds start to go ballistic, we see precious metals and other safe havens actually start to sell off. If we see that type of market, then I'm going to be really worried, because that means everyone is in an extreme fear situation again, where they literally will liquidate everything. We see gold fall, we see bonds fall. I mean, the last time we saw the market start a leg down, bonds pulled back 15% from the high, gold pulled back. When there's mass panic, and I think everyone's sitting here waiting to hit that sell button, if it starts to make new lows from here, I think we're going to see another big wave. And I don't think there is going to be a safe haven. I think you need to either be short the index or an inverse ETF, which will rise as the stocks fall, or you need to just be in cash. And we've been in cash for quite a while. We're sitting at new account highs, and we've been watching this collapse. We played the rally in bonds when this collapse started. and we've been just sidestepping and just watching it until we get some type of safer trade set up to the upside. Just the volatility is too wild right now for swing trading. If you want to be conservative and protect your capital.
Yeah, unprecedented times, as we've been saying, obviously, as far as the outbreak is concerned, virus-related news coming out hourly almost affecting these markets. So is it something that, I mean, obviously we're speculating once again, but what do we need to kind of hear, I guess, as far as, improvements in these cases, maybe improvements in numbers that'll maybe lead you in the direction of the upside for the market, or is it something you're just completely ignoring and playing the technicals?
No, the virus has got a huge role in what's going on. It doesn't matter what the Fed does and how much money they dump in. The problem is this isn't like a normal bear market. Everyone is selling not because they're scared of lower prices, obviously, but people are actually scared for their lives. This is a serious matter. And until there's a place in the United States that say, hey, we've actually contained it, things are actually declining and they've got control of it, even in just one city would be a great sign. That would be the starting point. But the fear is you've got wave 2, you've got wave 3. This could drag out really, really long. And that's the scary part. And the markets are just waiting. They're like, is there going to be some containment in the market in any city? And if there isn't one soon, I think we're going to see the market break down, continue to sell off, unfortunately, because there is no light at the end of the tunnel. All of us are just walking through the dark, trying to figure out what's going on with the virus. And eventually we're going to give up going, this is bad. And people are going to start selling stuff again. So that's my concern. I hope we find some type of containment and it shows positive signs somewhere. And that's going to help the market. That'll be huge. Once that kicks in, I think we'll see a massive rally, at least a relief rally at this point.
Yeah, no, you raised some great points. As traders, we tend to look at what has happened in the past and then project what might happen in the future when we put on trades. But something like this obviously has never been dealt with before, especially at the market level. So we'll leave it at that. Christopher Mullen, why don't you give everyone your contact information, social media accounts as well, if people want more information.
Sure, yeah, you can follow me at thetechnicaltraders.com. And I've got a Twitter page at The Tech Trader. And there I provide my daily market analysis before the market opens and tell you what should happen, what to look for today and over the next week, so we can kind of navigate these markets with the least amount of emotions possible. Because once emotions take hold, trading becomes extremely difficult if you don't know what's going on.
Christopher Mullen from The Technical Trader. It's a pleasure, sir. Stay well. We'll speak to you again soon.
You too. Take care, Brendan.
There we go, guys. Great information, as always, from Chris there. Talking a little bit about a higher time frame. Obviously, we tend to focus on much smaller time frames, but it's good to start on the higher time frame and kind of work your way down to find the opportunities on an intraday basis. So go check out The Technical Traders. Great information on their website. Let's go back to the guys.
Another bang interview. Yeah, good job there. Follow them on Technical Traders. And thank you once again to everybody who's on our show and watching. I know Neil and I have been active here in the chat. If you're watching us anywhere other than YouTube, guys.
Yeah.
Come on over, because the water's warm here, and we are answering lots of questions, including zooming now. So we'll hit the siren to the upside here. We take this long breaking through view up at about 11:09. So that's about a half hour ago. We had to wait patiently. We did dump about half of it at this view up. So now we'll wait to see if we can't get back up to 126. That's a banger right now as well. And we did cover most of our luck in down here at 53. We talked about that. Then we get out a little bit more on the 70 break. Let's wait to see. But right now, we're pretty light, man. It's the end of the show. Well, not about the end of the show. It's more about the middle of the market right now. We don't want to put on too much risk. We're bouncing around on Pfizer, Luckin, CCL, and Zoom. That's what I have on right now, Neil.
Yeah, I actually just took off my E-Core position, and I was mentioning to you guys in the chat, those that are following along, of course, that you had that retest the opening range high at 140, dipped in at 130. When it actually came up and then failed at that price, and I mentioned to you guys here, you have some people that fade into that move. They're waiting for that opening range break. A lot of people will take that early, looking for the 140 to the upside if it has the second leg to it, this high riser. Once it doesn't go, you get a bit of short covering, or get a bit of long covering. And what I do here is jump in at 135, add to my position. That's where you really get that conviction that you're in the right. that's selling, the people that tried to fade into that 140 break, doesn't work for them, they start taking it off. This is where you get that big flush down, and what ends up happening is you're instantly in the money a few cents with your full position on, and you've got a firm level to work with. So it's a great base of operations to work a short, and then you're just sort of getting out on the way in. I'm never taking this type of trade expecting it to break the low of the day. That's why we're all out here at the bottom at 114. So you get an average price of about 131, 132, out at 114 for the last quarter, most of it in that 10-15 cent range. Good little target out. Big buyer showed up there at 114, actually even 100,000 shares, giving us even more of a reason to get out. Great little structured trade. At this point, if it retests 140, I probably will not jump into it. I don't like it the second or third time it goes to that price. You get a little bit more anxious traders looking to catch that break and see if there's another move in the afternoon. So good short. Second time we had it. I will not necessarily take it a third time, but it's time for In Focus with Valeria at the big screen.
Hey guys, and welcome. Well, here are some big numbers. There are 1,056,371 cases of coronavirus globally and 55,785 deaths. Well, now some news related to the coronavirus. Amazon announced that it won't sell masks number 95 to the public no more, as the health workers are really in need of those. Google is launching an app to track where people are violate social distancing and self-quarantine the most. The company will be using private data of its users. Churches and religious facilities in many states in US are remaining open, and it's kind of confusing as the US government prohibited gatherings of more than 10 people for now. Game stocks are rising in price as people are being self-quarantined now and really entertain themselves a lot with games. For example, Nintendo game Animal Crossing New Horizons that was launched just on March of 20th already been sold like 1.8 million of copies of this game in Japan. Those Americans who first applied for relief bill will receive money no sooner than the week of April, which starts on the 13th of April. Those who applied later might wait for months before they receiving money. Well, that's all for today. Stay healthy and stay in focus. Back to the guys.
Thank you very much, Valeria. A good time to do it. Only about 18 minutes left, and we talked about this at the open. We're sitting here on a trading floor, obviously due to the coronavirus and social distancing. Almost everybody is off the floor except for us, and we're doing our best to distance. But the company still trades. They trade the world. There are offices all around the world, still making those profits. And I'm going to show you again here, and this is just the top trader by individual market. So you're just showing whoever happened to be the best on a particular market and then ranking them in order. Number one yesterday, coming through, making 49,000 in the company on the CME. That's probably trading the futures, whether it's a NASDAQ or the S&P 500 futures. Looking at Toronto, TSX coming in number two, 30,000. Someone pulled out of that market. Germany, 29,000. New York, NYSE, $27,500. London, 23. NASDAQ, 20,000. You can see the list goes on with the five-figure numbers, and lots of trading done in Europe, Paris. You see Amsterdam as well. So day trade the world. We have basically any single equity market you could possibly trade. Futures, you see NYMEX on there as where people can trade oil futures contracts that we will show you. So lots of opportunity. Everyone's taking advantage of the liquidity, of the volatility. This is what it's all about. We're trying to bring you a piece of that pie, but it's even bigger than what we show.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a lot bigger, and that's the thing, guys. We trade over 65 markets here at Day Trade the World, so a lot of opportunity. That's why we go over some of that. London, European, Milan, all of those, Brazil as well. We had Kirill Fershine on today from BCS America trading MOEX names and whatnot. So yeah, it's been a great, fantastic day. We now go to the wrap, which we will sort of review, I guess, some of the trades that we took. Maybe not yet, we won't do that yet, but we will be hopefully doing that today. If not, we'll just keep trading, guys. And Pfizer right here, 1.4%. I've sort of just been dancing around on this one. We're going to be down on this name so far today, but that's not any indication of really what's happening. It's not doing too much. Our first long was fantastic here at 33.55, able to take a lot of profits there. Breaks down below, we cancel that out. We try a little short here, breaking through 33.30. That's right where we're at right now. And now we're just hovering around. So we'll wait to see if Pfizer wants to break. We've been dancing around on that name a little bit.
I like that.
Our Luck and Coffee not doing much either. If there's any sort of names or anything you guys want us to look at for you right here, we will do that, including maybe I'll hop over to some weed names in a couple seconds. Wow, that XOM, guys, what a trade we had on that name, and it's just now back to day's low. Look at these shorts right here early, guys. 9.48, we had 41.34 short. That was fantastic. We dropped that, then we got a little FOMO, picked it back up on this move up. This is where I was pounding the pavement there, guys, to get short at 40.69, and bang, we take it all the way down here to the low of the day. But now we're breaking back below 39.40, once again hitting these lows. Look at the market. We're off ever since that 2,500 break. We're back down now 24.75, guys. When we're ready, yeah, go take it.
No, I was going to say, Sean, I need you to do me a favor here, Sean. If we're ever in the chat and someone asked about a call on a stock and someone was mentioning, should I go long in American Airlines? And I was saying, heck no, this is why you don't want to. The trend has to break. It's got to make a firm bottom. This is why. I should have just jumped into this short position. When it fails to make that bottom here at that 985 area, you can then see it becomes a bit of a pivot point. Can't get back up to 10. It's a failed break back up at 10 even. Then look at these retests at 993, 990. If you're talking about structured trades and those even numbers, I mean, forget about it. It's one thing to say you don't want to jump into that long. It's the other way to say, let's add this to the list of shorts that we've been riding all morning long. American Airlines, fantastic, and it just did another breakout here at 960s, which is why I brought it to our attention. But I believe Valeria has a little something for us. What do you got?
Go.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome who just joined our live trading show. Guys, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe for our channel. We are live every day from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. If you watch us from Facebook, share and like our video also. Be active on the live chat, ask questions, leave comments, and let's be friends. And of course, guys, just 15 minutes to the end of our show, I'll send the link on the chat right after this stream. Hit the link and we'll continue to chat and trade. Back to traders.
Thank you very much there, Valeria. A name that we just actually got out of this one and sort of probably a little bit too tight of, and again, I talk about this with trailing stops. You can run into trouble with them. A lot of times I'll use a key price area that I think is going to be interesting. I talked about a breakout to the upside on a bounce on Under Armour here. It had turned negative on the day. It made a nice little double bottom here at 740, then held higher at the 745 mark. So we took the breakout of the top end of that range. I was at the trade of the day when it gave you this reload at 750, which would have been perfect using that 745 bottom. The VWAP out will take for half. The second out here, once it crossed through the opening price at 768, I then threw an immediate trail. So it gets to 770. I put the trail in at 768, thinking, okay, maybe we'll have a bit of a base. Instantly get trailed out, and then it continues to work to the upside. So I think that's one of those where I should have worked the trail all the way back into VWAP at 760 and given it more room to run. It was trading up at 785 to 790 in the pre-market with an 8 even high. It's showing a little bit of relative strength as the market heads towards the bottom. It's still sort of holding up, broke VWAP, holding above right now. So you get that relative strength. You want to hold on to the trade a little bit longer than I did. Again, trailing stops are a tricky thing. If you want to be manual there or maybe have it trail bigger, you get those bigger wins.
No, okay. Okay, guys. Yeah, no, just talking to Brendan here about this. There's only 10 minutes left in the day, guys. Yep. So get ready to rock and roll here, as it's going to be an interesting Friday afternoon, to say the least, as the market now starting to head southbound. And yes, we did just punch a Pfizer in the face a little bit here. 33.27. That was the low of the day. So I'm trying to defend that. So we take a few shares long on Pfizer and see if we can't work that back to the upside. That's my biggest position by far right now. We have LK, we have CCL, and we have Zoom along with Pfizer right now. Actually, we'll hit up the position board now. For those of you that are joining us, this is a look that we have, and we'll come to camera 2 here. These are my positions, and we'll see what they can do today, the rest of the day. They're pretty light. My biggest one by far is Pfizer. You're talking about probably 10 times the exposure to these other ones. So Pfizer right now, long 33.30. It's flat right now. Well, it's up to 34. Everything else, we'll see if it's going to go. Zoom, we're praying for that. It seems to want to go down when the market goes up. So we're going to find out about that one. Zoom, decent hedge here as we go. These are my 4 positions.
Yeah, I'm just throwing a stop right now on CCL at 8.25 to the upside, because I have a stop at the bottom for the low of the day, and I want to play this short both ways here. I want to play the short if we break that low. We talked about 8 even. Greg made a good note of that on the chat this morning. If you follow along, and you should pre-market to get those key levels, to get those in-play stocks. So we got that break, hopefully, at the low of the day here through the opening range low. We got 8.05. Pre-market, it was trading a little bit lower, but I also want to take a shot at this one short on any kind of a pop. So if it gets into the teens, the high teens, I'll short it one more time in front of this 8.25, but I also want that break. So Carnival Cruise, it's been a gift that keeps on giving. You've been able to make money long in this thing. You've been able to make money short. It almost doesn't matter. The volatility is good. The volume is fantastic. I'm jumping into this one once again. I think the waters are nice and warm on Carnival and lots of opportunity. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I know a couple of you guys have been asking about Tesla. Our read on this one. And again, it comes down to something here. If you only have one good read on a stock that you really, really like, you don't have to force trades. And I did have one short that I completely misread and made $2 when I should have made 10. And the other idea I was looking at was on a strong day, I wanted to be a buyer through 506. You get a key level, and ultimately that 506 ends up being the greatest level to short in front of. You can't sit there and start turning into FOMO, force the trade to the short side. I'm still going to stick with the plan. However, if we catch a bounce in the market, forget 506, I'm now looking at this 494, 495 area on a break to the upside. So if we can get back, maybe above that previous low that we had in the ES, 2480, 2485, test that, break to the upside. Tesla could be an interesting long at 493 to 495. Brendan, what do you got?
A lot of people may be wrapping up for the day, but we're going to be here all day long. So let's have a look at SRNE, 20% to the upside today. Just, guys, making a new high on the day. Some positive news out for this one today. Big time volume as well. I mean, who says things go to sleep at 12 o'clock? Look at the volume coming into SRNE. Just broke that 240 area, guys.
I think that's important to note. Thanks, Brendan, for that. Yeah, you got to note that stocks will tend to trade a little differently here in the middle of the day. So you got to look for those actionable names. And thanks, Brendan, for that one. And I think we got one here as well, man. Possibly Apple. Look at this fall here when the market just tanked. It looks almost identical to the S&P 500. So a very high beta here. Let me see if I can move this up a little bit so you guys, so you guys can see this just a little bit better. Here's the market. Here's Apple, right? Apple ticks up here. Here's the market ticking up. These are both 1 minute time frames. Market falling down, Apple falling down, and now we're stuck in this range. So I like it. If the market fades off, guys, 241.50 on Apple. Let's hit that short. And by the way, man, my Pfizer here, we put it on, and yeah, good little trade happening right now on Pfizer. I punched long, decent amount of shares, my largest exposure of the day, down here at 33.26, and banged up all the way to 37 right now. Just cashed that out. So thank God for that one. Make a little bit of money back here on Pfizer. I told you it was in this little range. We waited for it to get down here, buy and buy again, and now we hit this to the top side. I'm still thinking, man, if this market rallies, which maybe we do, Pfizer could get back into the 50s here, which case there, yeah, there'll be cash flying everywhere.
Yeah, you talked about if we rally, and Sean, ultimately you get that number. It was disappointment, obviously, with the unemployment. But you talk about 25.30 in the top end in the ES and then 24.70 at the bottom here. That's not a gigantic range in this market. So the fact that we haven't really flushed too far just yet means there is the possibility of that rally. You want to have some long names to work off of. Brendan mentioned this SRNE. I want to quickly jump here and show you the daily chart. There was a bit of a level here at 250 if you go to the daily. Sort of on the way down, stock's been getting crushed since trying to top $6. But you look at this way back into March here, 250 was a bit of a fail point on the way down. It then tried to break and slammed back downside again. So it's going to test this 250 area. It's going to give you an opportunity. Now that it's giving you one of these little spikes into that range and then come in. You get that heavy selling after a big parabolic move up. It's going to give you that opportunity to go with a tight stop short in front of 250. Just be careful. You got to make sure you get out when it breaks. You don't want to jump in front of this sword and get blown out of the water, but there is room to run to the downside. If it can fail here at 250, I'm going to jump into the short, tight stop, see if we can't get a retracement here. Brennan, what do you got?
One we were looking at early on this morning and off the bat this morning, eCore, right from the word go when I sat down this morning, this thing was kind of trending to the downside. Just notice this one also with a nice little volume spike here recently back to 135, 140. I wish I saw this earlier. That was the same spot it turned around initially and gave you that move down to almost $1. So eCore, another one, still up 55% on the day, but also trending back to the downside. Guys.
You know what's interesting? I actually said that I will not take that one a third time. I'll at least have to consider it. But the only way that I will jump into that eCore one more time is if it actually tests that 140 and fails. I won't jump in front of it on the way up. I feel like that's a little bit dangerous. Starting to see a little bit of consolidation here on that SRNE. It's done 8 million shares, so not quite as much as some of the other names like an eCore that we've seen, which has done 30 million. But liquidity is pretty good, guys. It's done 30. It's got 30,000 on the offer here at 250. You have some big size at 49 and 48. It means a few things. It means that there's some people that are going to be shorting and covering at this key price, which makes it good. But it also means you do want to make sure you access that liquidity if you're sizing up here and shorting in front. Again, that's a key level on the daily. 248 is the high of the day. I will take a shot on this one, shorting it as long as we can hold this area for the time being, and then see if we can't get at least a 50% retracement, from that breakout point, which I'm going to call it right here at 223 was the secondary break that got you this move. So you're talking about 15 cents or so, which is a decent scalp if you can get it, but it really needs to test and hold 250 first.
Okay, yeah, good looks there. We're still, trading the same stuff as always here. I'm not into anything new. We are still looking for that Apple trade, and I did take a look there. Kevin, you mentioned CrowdStrike. So yeah, I love CrowdStrike. Obviously, great name there. I was liking it. I think probably the same as you. If we did break down below, you see very aggressive movement on the open here from 56 all the way to 59 and change. Crowd still up that 2.5%. I was looking at it short just because of the market moves. But that didn't happen. So right now you could get a break of this VWAP back to the upside. 58.25 is not horrible. I would rather it get above here, 58.60, this top wick, just so we could sort of cover off, and I'll put a little mark here, so if we could cover off this kind of stuff down here. This kind of is like a garbage area of about 80 cents or so. If you're scalping, I think this could be nice. But if you're waiting for a longer term home run, you might be able to take this long. And if the futures continue to fade, we'll check that back to the downside. My Pfizer, though, is right back up to 36. Again, we're long 27s. Big risk spot for me here. So I'm thinking we can get back into the 50s, especially if these futures can rally back up. I mean, that's kind of an obvious thing, but Pfizer's been a good one, up 1.5%. If you take a look at the daily chart here, if I can load it up, and here it comes. Pfizer, oh no, this is still the 1 minute chart. Hold on a second, guys, bear with me. Okay, my daily charts are frozen, but I just wanted to say Pfizer's been on a nice little run lately, so we do look to see Pfizer, and here it goes, back up to 40. So great little win there as we hit the slap shot. Let's see if we can't get back into the 50s. This is a big one for me, guys.
Yeah, and we just tested that SRNE, so it actually did slam that 250 level. It slammed it, tried to get through. It does not. You're going to see a wick up here that says 51. That was mostly dark pools. I was watching the level 2 here. We didn't break it. It holds. We jump into the short at 48 here. A couple of entries at that price. So again, this is very similar to what you see there in eCore. It tests the level. Some people would have just went long hoping for the breakout. Now you're sitting on the short as they're probably covering. So you start taking some out here in the 243 range. Our ultimate target is going to be down around that 10 to 15 cent range retracement at 235 or so if we can get it. The jump out point was 223, so maybe it goes all the way back there. That'll be fantastic if we can get 10%. This time of day I'm happy with 5 we can get it. Brendan Wickens, what do you got?
A couple minutes to go here, guys. We have come to the end, or almost the end. It's already 12 o'clock. We're going to head over and check in with Valeria one last time to see what day it is today.
Thank you, Brad. And hey, guys, first of all, I would like to say thank you for all of your likes, comments, for all of your activity. Thank you for joining. We promise we'll be getting better with each day. We are live every day from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And guys, I sent you a link on the chat right after the end of the stream. Hit the link and we'll continue to chat and trade the whole trading day ahead. You can't miss that. And well, as usual, I'm saying with national days today, but first of all, I want to say that a lot of people are now being self-quarantined and being bored at home, and the internet is full of videos where people are making parties with the whole district, getting out of the window, putting music on, their outfits. And well, guys, today is the National Party Day. I hope you're all having fun at home and being safe.
How ironic, National Party Day.
Every day is a party in the market.
People aren't physical distancing, Valeria, but
I mean, there's the Zoom parties, guys. They're all Zoom parties.
Yeah, we had a Zoom party yesterday with some of our traders and some of the people on the floor and some of the staff working with us, and that was a super fun time, guys. Stay safe, stay well as we get going here. Yeah, only 30 seconds left. Like I said, keep the participation going. We love it on the chat. Thanks to Kevin, a bunch of Kevins today, Mike as well, Modern Investors, everybody that's been on the chat, and I know Neil's been answering some of your questions, and so have we all. So that's been great, and thank you once again for your participation.
Yeah.
Look, as long as we don't get legislated out of here, we will be back, man. We'll be back on Monday, same bat time and same bat channel, and we'll promise to look at some weed names. I need like that for everybody, or for, you know what, maybe Rob, we can get a Trader TV one of that. That'd be cool.
That. I wouldn't mind one for each of the different sectors as we're jumping back and forth. That'd be a good idea as well. I mean, look, we're going to continue to trade. We'll have the chat's going to be up, and we'll still have our trades in there. I mentioned this SRNE to you guys just now off that 250 area. And again, one of the things that reinforces that short is you go to that higher time frame. You got to identify something on the daily, a level that other people are going to be looking at and want to be testing, because when it fails, you're taking advantage of that failed break where some of those FOMO long guys are like, oh crap, and they got to get out. And I like those shorts. It's the only way you want to be playing a parabolic move to the upside. I've gotten about half of it out here, only about 40% of it out, as it got close to our, start of our 235-ish target. So if it works all the way down, you work the other half out for the rest of your target area. I'm not going to reload on this. This one's entirely too strong to the upside. It's only up about 20%. Volume is pretty solid here, but it's not quite as liquid as eCore was at that top. So I had that hard stop at 250. If it breaks 250, fair enough. We'll lose on the other 60% of this trade, and it'll be roughly a small win or to flat trade depending on how hard we get slit. So fingers are on the keys there, ready to go on SRNE. It's the only short I have on, in addition to a small position in CCL. Fantastic morning here. Thank you guys all for your participation. Any last words, Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo that. A great show, great week. It was an exciting week. Lots more to come next week, guys. Lots more great guests coming up next week. Make sure you join us right back here, as we've mentioned. We'll do it all again as long as we are allowed to on Monday. Take it away, Neil.
As always, guys, it's fantastic, and we will be here next week. But for Valeria, who's going to continue to be on the chat and be the chat maestro all day long, please tune in for that. For Valeria, for Sean Katina, my good friend, and I'm going to do it in the right order this time, as he's giving the nice little wave there. And for Brendan Wickens over at the desk. And as always, myself, Neil Roberts. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is tradertv.live, and we will see you next week.